Good evening, West Orange. Welcome to the February 11th council meeting, despite the weather. So we appreciate everybody being here. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 7th, 2025, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on January 16th, 2025. Councilwoman Castellino.
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Present.
Councilwoman Rudin.
Here.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Present.
Council President Krakowiak.
Present. Thank you. First on our conference agenda tonight, we have a young gentleman from the West Orange African Heritage Organization who is here to talk about the Holcomb Scholarship Fund. Just so you know, and he'll probably put this into context, Holcomb is named for a civil rights hero, and has the West Orange African Heritage Organization has been raising money for this scholarship for college-bound kids from West Orange for, I don't know, more than 20 years? Yes. And you may have heard me talk about this. One of the major fundraising is the Men Who Cook annual event. So any of you men out there who cook should keep an eye on that because it raises a ton of money for scholarships for kids from West Orange. It's been expanded this year, and we're going to learn about it right now. So Mr. Brent Scott.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Good evening, Council President Krakowiak and members of the council. Thank you for allowing me this time. I'm Brent Draper Scott. In my day job, I am a senior professor of graduate studies in business and leadership at Mercy University. But today, I'm here in my volunteer role as vice president of the West Orange African Heritage Organization. The mission of the West Orange African Heritage Organization, that was founded a quarter century ago in 1999, is to build strong community and foster relationships. We take pride in celebrating and sharing with the larger community the historical and cultural contributions of people of African descent. The organization encourages civic engagement and performs community service, such as holding voter registration drives, hosting candidate forums and discussions to promote civic awareness, and advocating for diversity in appointments and hiring throughout the township. We also conduct annual drives to provide school supplies for students, toys for children during the holidays, and food drives for the West Orange Food Pantry for those in need. Members of the West Orange African Heritage Organization are dedicated to promoting academic achievement for all students in West Orange. We are widely known for our elementary school tutoring program and the Thomas Holcomb Scholarship that Council President Krakowiak just spoke about, which is for college-bound West Orange graduating seniors. It is this last item, our Holcomb Scholarship, that I'm here to discuss tonight. The Holcomb Scholarship is funded primarily by our members through direct contributions. The organization also holds two major open to the public fundraisers each year. Men Who Cook, that Councilman Krakowiak spoke to. He and his son are frequent participants in Men Who Cook, and I look forward to their dishes in 2025. The Denim and Diamonds fundraiser, which is held every February, I can hardly believe that it's been a year since I described it to my friend Joyce Rudin, now Councilwoman Joyce Rudin, as a giant tailgate party indoors. For as little as $45 to $60 a ticket, that event, the Denim and Diamonds fundraiser, which takes place typically in February, typically garners between $10,000 and $15,000 for our scholarship. Many people from around New Jersey, not only West Orange residents, come out and support the event because they know they're helping students afford a college education, which in today's economy is invaluable. For decades, America has been transitioning away, I should say, into a knowledge economy, a know-how economy. And the cost for that all-important college education has grown astronomically. So our students need your help. No amount is too large, no amount is too small, and we appreciate your giving. This year, the venue where we hold our Denim and Diamonds fundraiser is unavailable. So we are embarking upon this campaign to ask for your support in funding the Holcomb Scholarship. Since its establishment 20 years ago, the Holcomb Scholarship has awarded over $300,000 to West Orange graduating high school seniors. Any West Orange senior, doesn't have to be at the public school, it could be at a private school, any West Orange resident who is a graduating high school senior can apply for this scholarship. Tonight, you're going to meet some of the previous recipients. And with that, I will ask Joe Fagan to run our promotion.
West Orange will receive over 500 students graduating and move on to higher education at various colleges and universities.
Unfortunately, the skyrocketing cost of higher education is a significant gap in students.
Scholarship, about $300,000 for the whole scholarship plan as the issue manager supporting our students.
Class of 2024 at West Orange High School. West Orange High School graduating class of 2024. I'm Joelle Robinson, West Orange High School class of 2024. I'm the hope that I think that diversity studying public health and policy economics. I'm currently studying the studying biological sciences of prevention. I'm a first year student at Seton University, majoring in psychology, and I'm currently completing my BBA in the first semester. I'm starting to apply the rest of the education, and I would have a help make the the college education is income. Thank you, West Orange African to the organization for the scholarship. I'm hopefully now for the scholarship.
Well, the scholarship about being for that and then the organization. We'll take that year with a lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fagan. Again, any high school senior who resides in West Orange can apply for the Holcomb Scholarship. So in conclusion, please give to the Holcomb Scholarship. You can use the QR code or go to www.woaho.org. Once there, you can donate to the scholarship, become a member, or renew your membership. The West Orange African Heritage Organization is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Neither myself nor any executive officer is paid. We are strictly volunteers. So please support the West Orange African Heritage Organization's Holcomb Scholarship. Membership and donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Now is the time on the agenda for council liaison announcements. I'm just going to go from right to left.
Okay.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Okay, the planning board has many different issues that we've been taking up. We've had 3 meetings in January on a variety of issues. Interestingly enough, many of them have to do with stormwater management, which is an ordinance on our agenda tonight. It's so important that we get this right. So many of our residents have experienced serious flooding in their homes, and especially with the projects that we've got going on now in the Highlands, the development that's proposed there. We have our matrix development going on downtown, which, believe it or not, if you look at the flood maps, is a flood zone. So it's very important that we have this right as we develop our town. So I encourage you, if you want to learn about stormwater management, to tune into our planning board meetings. They're very educational. The seniors are on the move. We had a fabulous event last week where our West Orange High School Jubilee Choir and Step Team danced and sung at the JCC. When Gina Goldman told me about the program, which they had in the past to celebrate Black History Month, stopped during COVID, she said, isn't there any way we can get this back? And I want to thank Hayden Moore and all of the kids at the high school, the music teachers who graciously came and put on such a performance. It was truly intergenerational. There were kids there from the preschool through all ages. I brought the seniors. They had a fabulous time. They were treated to a free lunch. The county does have lunches, which they provide to seniors at low or no cost. Unfortunately, we don't have a senior center here, so we cannot do that right now, but that is clearly going to be one of our goals for this year. And they just had a wonderful time. They saw the performance, and I can't tell you, when you see the look on the seniors' faces who are depressed because they can't get out in the wintertime, most of them don't drive. It was through all of the efforts of Laura Van Dyke and Mike Fonzino, who got us the jitney service. They are so appreciative. And Gina has actually offered to give the seniors the opportunity to participate this month in all of their programs on the social calendar for free. So hopefully we'll be able to get another meeting going. And if any of the seniors are interested in joining us in the future, please reach out to me, because we are widening our group of seniors who want to get out and socialize. And that's about it.
No reports.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Good evening, everyone. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in council chambers and those of you on Zoom virtually. As we begin this meeting, I would first off want to take a moment to acknowledge that February is Black History Month, and this is a time to celebrate the rich history, culture, and contributions of Black Americans, not just in the past, but also in the present. And it's something that I'm very proud about is my African heritage, especially because I am the first and only elected Ethiopian and Eritrean person in the state of New Jersey. So that's something that I'm very proud of, and my family and our legacy. So, it's a time for reflection, learning, and action as we honor the leaders and innovators and trailblazers who have paved the way for progress. In these challenging times, unity and understanding are more important than ever. So let us use this month to uplift one another, embrace our diversity, and reaffirm our commitments to justice, equity, and the values that make West Orange a strong and inclusive community. And with that, I'm going to jump into the West Orange Arts Council, which I'm the liaison. And we have our We'll Never Forget Black History Month exhibit featuring artist Bernard Jackson at the West Orange Arts Center. The council is proud to announce the 2025 exhibit by the renowned West Orange artist Bernard Jackson. The exhibit will be on display at the West Orange Arts Center at 551 Valley Road from February 8th through March 2nd. The gallery hours are Saturdays from 1 to 4 and Sundays from 2 to 4. And you can find all this information on the website, westorangearts.org. This Saturday, we have an exhibit from 4 to 7 p.m. Next Sunday, there's an exhibit from 2 to 4 p.m. And in addition, working with seniors, Councilwoman, thank you for all that you do for our seniors in town. On Saturday, February 22nd, the council is going to welcome the West Orange senior citizens for an afternoon of art. So we're
Wonderful.
very excited about that. So, and that concludes my council liaison. Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Castellino?
Thank you, Council President. Last meeting, we had a full report from Ms. Brill on all the activities at Downtown Alliance. I just want to remind everyone that Restaurant Week starts March 30th. It will go through April 6th. If the snow could stop falling and our Public Works Department could get our banners up, they'll be up very shortly therein, but the weather's not cooperating. But we have restaurants signing up now. We'll give an update. But just want to remind everyone too, although it's winter and it's cold, to go out and frequent our local business owners. A lot of them been slow and rightfully so this time of year. So just go out and support a business, a restaurant in town sooner than later. You don't have to wait for Restaurant Week. Thank you, Council President.
Great idea. Thank you, Councilwoman. We are now finished with the council liaisons. We have 8 minutes before the start of a town council meeting, the public agenda. I just wanted to ask my colleagues, do you want to start discussing the issue of legal representation at the council meeting now, or you want to wait till the meeting starts?
We can do it now, please.
Okay. So we're going a little bit out of order because of a situation we have right now. And in explanation, as you know, the township attorney has filed to retire from more than 2 decades in that position. It is contingent upon the council and the mayor agreeing on his replacement. And there's also ongoing litigation between the mayor and the council that is further complicating things. So some of my council colleagues have asked for a discussion related to the contract requirement of our town attorney to attend council meetings and provide legal advice. He is not here tonight, and he has asked another attorney, someone who is one of the special counsels here in the township, to attend. So we do have at this point legal counsel if we need it. We did not know about this substitution until just before this meeting, less than an hour before the meeting. And we as a council are agreed that this is not the way the council should learn who is providing us legal counsel, especially in a delicate situation like we face right now in our municipal government. So some of my colleagues have asked for a discussion of the situation and to see where we might, as a governing body, decide to do. And I just wanted to note this for Madam Clerk, that at 7 o'clock, let's just break whatever our discussion is and we'll go into the public meeting and continue.
Okay, the only concern I have is this is personnel issue, so should it be discussed in an open public meeting?
No. It's personnel.
It's not personnel. It's not personnel.
You're discussing.
So here's the issue. We have a special counsel here. We have special counsel here tonight who is not the township attorney, who is not the assistant attorney, and it's inappropriate and unethical for this person to be here billing the town an extra $165 an hour, and our meetings go till 2 a.m., 1 a.m., midnight, when we have a municipal attorney who should be here. That is
Mr. Burke, is
the
it
reality.
appropriate to be
Please,
discussing this?
everybody, we can only speak one at a time, please. So
I understand, but I
Councilwoman-
don't want her to speak if it's not appropriate, because that will get you into trouble.
I don't think
So-
it gets us in trouble because we're the legislative body, the checks and balance, and the township attorney can't act like a dictator and decide that he's
I'm
gonna
not
have.
saying-
yeah,
special
let's
counsel.
let's just stop right now. Okay. Madam Clerk has raised an issue, and we'd like to throw you into the scrum to see if you have any thoughts at this point, or whether you want the discussion to go on further, because it's not really, I think what Councilwoman was saying, it's not really a discussion about personnel, but more about the performance of a contract and what we should do about it. So want to just throw it to you. Do you think we need an executive session
I don't think so, Council President. I would, I understand the clerk's concern and I would recommend that we not comment on, potential litigation. I know you mentioned there was some litigation ongoing and generally, personnel in terms of his tenure as the township attorney. But if we want to talk about who's staffing this meeting, I think that's totally fine.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So again, it is highly inappropriate to pay another attorney, a special attorney, an hourly rate when the township has a municipal attorney that we're paying. It is the municipal attorney's responsibility to be here, not decide that he doesn't want to be here and he's going to have special counsel now come because he doesn't want to come to the meetings. It doesn't work that way. So I don't think it's right to the taxpayers. I think that we should dismiss him. I think we should make a motion to dismiss him. They should not sit here and pay an attorney. I think we should have public comment because the public is here. It's important to hear the public. And then after public comment, I think we should adjourn the meeting until the township attorney decides to come to a meeting. And I end my response.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Excuse me. Councilwoman Castellino has the floor.
Sure, I don't think so. I don't think we need to cancel the entire meeting because one, we have notices which cost us money. So where you're trying to save money, and I get it, it's going to cost you money to renotice a lot of these items on the agenda. If you had your discussions over the weekend or your notes, your answers to questions were answered. Anything that you may need legal advice on, you can, you could table that. So I don't see it necessary to move forward, not to move forward tonight. Just table the items that you think you need a legal decision on.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Rudin?
Okay, I'd just like to state for the record that I think that the township attorney's absence at this meeting is a clear dereliction of his professional duty and his responsibility. He is paid a salary to be here, and according to our ordinance and to state law, which I will read, the duties of the township attorney are to, and this is, if you would like the code, it's 2-9.2 under duties of township attorney, to attend all meetings of the township council and provide legal advice to the council as necessary to ensure that the proceedings are conducted in a lawful and proper manner and to provide legal advice on all matters of township business. So for us to be double paying for the same service is not fair. It's not responsible fiscal management for us to be sitting up here and saying, you guys have already paid for the services of a township attorney. And because our township attorney has, for some reason, decided not to appear at this meeting and to appear only virtually at the last meeting. But in this particular case, his absence at this meeting has required that another attorney from another firm be here at $165 an hour, and the residents of this town are now forced to foot the bill. And I think that that would not be responsible for us, even though it does require renoticing. This wasn't our choice to have a double noticing of issues that are before our council tonight, and issues which are very important to this community, which really must be heard. So if this township attorney would like to remain in this position, then he should do the job and show up at the meeting so that we can do the business of the people.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
And I would have to.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yeah, I really have to agree. I mean, there are so many areas as we approach the budget where we are really looking at efficient use of every tax dollar that you give us. And this is just one more area where we are not being responsible with your money. And I have to agree with my colleagues.
Okay. So at this point, I think we need to decide where we go from here. There was a mention by Councilwoman Geber Michael to continue on to hear public comment because there's a lot of people here to speak on a variety of issues, I believe. And then at that point, perhaps adjourn the meeting until we can get this straightened out. I think maybe that should be our first vote after we go into public session.
Yes,
And
so-
then if that passes, we can do that. I just want to say that if anybody has any other ideas about how you want to proceed, we will bring those up. Maybe we bring those up sooner rather than the rather definitive stop that has been discussed so far.
Excuse me,
So-
Council President, I
Yes.
made I too made the recommendation. That was a recommendation to proceed and just table items that you feel you need the attorney on.
Okay,
So I would like to make a motion that we let our special counsel leave, we dismiss him, because it doesn't make sense to continue having him sit here and paying him and still having to pay the township attorney who's not here. It's unethical. And we have a fiduciary responsibility to our residents and the taxpayers of this township. And also in that motion, I think that we should still have public comments. It's important to hear residents' concerns because we're here for the residents. And that's my motion. And then we'll go from there after public comment.
okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. This motion is to do three things, actually four things. The motion is asking that we dismiss with gratitude the legal representation we have here. The second step is to have the meeting only to hear public comment and then adjourn until we can get this determined.
Wait, can I amend it to include the bill list? Because we have to pay people we haven't paid in a.
Okay,
Well, again, now you're
Yeah.
picking and you're choosing either have the meeting or don't have the
We need to
meeting.
Pay people we haven't paid. So that's
Councilwoman
important.
Castellino, I know you disagree, but
Yes.
please,
Okay.
just one at a time, please.
So I think that we should at least pass the bill list because there are vendors and people who have not been paid in the last couple of months.
Okay, so
Council President, we haven't even opened the public.
right. We're not going to take a vote until we're in the public meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I think our council wanted to say something and then Councilwoman Castellino. you're
I was
next.
just going to point out the same thing, Council President.
Oh, okay.
We haven't entered the meeting yet.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman.
Yeah, so we just saw the bill list, which was great. But there may be other things that have to get done tonight, and we're not going to know that till we get to them. That's why I highly recommend we continue the meeting, table the things you absolutely have to table because you need an attorney on, which I feel will be very few because we have the people's business to get done. That's all. Just going to state that one last time.
Thank you. Again, my motion didn't say conclude at the end of public comment. It said, let's hear public comment and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Which you heard correctly.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman, please.
Okay, I just wanted respond to what you said, Councilwoman. We don't have an attorney at this meeting for the sole reason of if there are questions. In other words, the job of the township attorney is to attend our meetings, whether we have questions or whether we don't. So it's not just, this meeting, we won't have questions, so you don't have to attend. It's you need to be at every single meeting according to statute, according to his contract, his or her contract. So this is the law. So I would like to ask our BA, what is the reason why our township attorney is not present at this meeting?
Chief Abbott, please.
So my understanding is that he had a conflict. I don't know what that conflict is. I don't know if he's ill. I don't know if he's out of state. I don't know what it is. We've arranged with conflict counsel to cover the meeting. We had a briefing for about an hour this morning on the phone with Mr. Burke to bring him up to speed on all these issues. You have capable, competent counsel here, if you want to proceed. If you
And
don't,
was
it's your
there
decision.
nobody else from his firm that was available?
Apparently not. Like I said, he
Even
had a
though this is
conflict.
a
We brought in
standing
conflict
meeting.
counsel.
Okay,
He had a conflict. We brought in conflict counsel. For I think it's like $38,000 or $40,000 he gets a year. I think it's kind of absurd for anybody to think that he's never going to miss a meeting. Council members have missed meetings. Nobody docked their pay. Well, I've missed meetings. These people have missed meetings. It's, nobody can guarantee they're going to be at every meeting, just illness, injuries, anything. So when he's not available, competent counsel replaces him. You're not paying twice because you're not billing. You're not billing for he's not billing you rather for any
Tonight.
services tonight. His salary's separate and aside. I realize it's part of his responsibilities. I don't deny that, but we have somebody here to fill in for that.
Okay, it is separate and double billing because we are paying our township attorney on a monthly basis. He earns 42.5 a year for his duties as township attorney, and in those responsibilities, it is to attend the town council meeting every single time.
I understand that, but he's just not available. And that's realistically, that's going to occur from time to time where any employee is not available. They still get paid. It's still part of their salary. That's his salary as director of the law department.
So I think we should just call the meeting to order.
Yes, that's, I was going to suggest, Madam Clerk,
Okay.
please.
Yes. This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The notice for this meeting was emailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on January 7th, 2025, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on January 16th, 2025. Councilwoman Castellino,
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Present.
Councilwoman Rudin,
Here,
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Present.
Council President Kukoviac.
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are now in our public meeting and just wanted to remind everyone up on the dais to please try to speak into your microphones. Mr. Fagan, before we move any further, we're going to entertain some motions and perhaps do some votes. So hold tight, please. So we have a motion on the floor, and I just want to recite what the motion talks about. One is,
Yeah, you have to remake the motion since. it's
Oh,
the
okay.
public
Okay.
meeting.
so please make your motion again.
So make the same motion I made earlier where we dismiss our special counsel and open up for public comments. And then after we give our responses, we go from there. And we'll decide. And we have to approve the bill list as well.
Okay, so I don't like it open-ended like that. I want to have a concrete motion as to a beginning and an end. So,
Okay, I believe that we should end after public comment, go to the bill list, approve it, and end the meeting because the municipal attorney really should be here. Since the litigation in 2023, he's barely came to any meeting and then was at one meeting last week. Maybe another one. So that's
yes,
not an excuse. His firm has been here this whole time.
yes. Madam Clerk, thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have those aspects of the motion?
I'll watch the video.
Okay.
I have most of it.
Is there any further comment? And please make it brief. Okay,
You have to
seconded.
make a second.
Second.
before you-
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Didn't hear that. And is there any other further discussion? And if there is, please keep it brief. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my recommendation is to move forward with the meeting. And if there's a situation where the council members need a legal opinion, they should just table that item. We have many agenda items on this evening as we go through them. Some may be time sensitive, and I don't want to hold anything up because, we're in this situation now. So I just wanted to put that on the record because I will be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'll just say that I agree with everybody up here on the dais, and that's a very unusual thing to happen. So I just wanted to note that. Certainly understand. list. And so, Mr. Fagan, we're going
Um,
to,
I
go
just-
ahead, I'm sorry.
There's no audio. Someone is saying, there's no audio. Jeff.
Yes, the audio does fade out and there's nothing I can do to control it. The problem is on Zoom's end and the audio is back. As best as I can tell.
Well, you can stick around to the end of the meeting. I think if you want, is that
No.
acceptable?
But you're
to
just
everyone?
not-
No, you want
You're
to,
just not going to get paid
Council
for it.
for Public
I'll
comment.
defer to you. I'm happy to assist if you'd like me to, but if
Thank you
No,
so
thank
much.
you.
for
Need it
being
for
here.
public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. It's nothing personal.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Council President, just for point of order, we have a couple of our staff members here. If we're not going to continue, is there any point for them to stick around tonight?
I don't believe so. We're not going to be looking at the agenda.
I
So,
just wanted to give them, extend them the courtesy, they can go home.
Yeah. yes, I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
would be
a,
nice.
that's a very gracious courtesy, especially with the impending weather.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming.
But we are going to respond to public comment, folks. So if you're here for public comment, we will be responding.
Mr. Fagan?
Thank you, Council President. Joe Fagan, Public Information Officer. I have some brief announcements to make. As has been pointed out, February is Black History Month. And by recognizing Black history, we acknowledge the impact of countless artists, scientists, activists, inventors, and just everyday individuals who have shaped society in profound ways. On the graphic I'm using for Black History Month, you will see, of course, the recognizable image of Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and of course, Jackie Robinson. Ultimately, Black History Month is not just about honoring the past. It's about cultivating understanding, respect, and unity among all people to inspire the future. So for that, I've tagged it honoring our past, inspiring our future. President's Day is, all municipal offices will be closed for President's Day, February 17th. There will be regular jitney service and regular garbage recycling schedule. On Thursday, February 27th will be the second annual Ramadan crescent lighting in front of Town Hall here. A rain date of February 28th has been established. The time is from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And you can see the image here of the beautiful piece that was created to symbolize the crescent lighting, if I'm getting my terminology correct. And I believe that will be here at Town Hall as well. Mayor asked me to announce the State of the Town address on March 6th at the Rock Spring Golf Club. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to the westorangechamber.com for more information. Typically, residents might recall this has always been held in January, but it has been pushed out to March. The Council Connection office, open office hours scheduled. Next one will be Thursday, March 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. No appointment is necessary. This information is posted on our website. The town engineer has asked me to pass this information along. Essex Safe Streets for All. Now, this is a initiative by Essex County to for safer streets. And in the process of doing it, this information is on our website. They have 2 virtual community meetings scheduled on different dates, but the content is the same. And they encourage our residents to take the surveys, to look at the map and to make their suggestions and comments known. And this can be accessed from our website, westorange.org. That is currently up there. I also like to talk briefly about the Blue Envelope Program. This started in Connecticut in 2020 and has since been adopted by police departments around the country, most notably New Jersey, New York, I believe Pennsylvania, and of course it says up there California. And now, council members, I have given you a flyer on the Blue Envelope Program so you can achieve a better understanding. West Orange is not the first to adopt this. I don't have complete data but sourced from the internet, I can determine that Belleville in Essex County does it, and Montclair State University Police, which is partly in Essex County, also implements this program. And you can see listed on the board are various towns around New Jersey. It's worth noting that Clark in Union County, I have a 20 in parentheses there because there are 20 towns in Clark in Union County that have this program implemented. And interestingly, there's only 21 towns in Union County. So I imagine it's only a matter of time before all Union County participates, if not already in the program. So let me explain briefly what the Blue Envelope program is. I created this graphic here, and you can see the number up there for Community Service Unit. It's intended to be safer traffic stops for autistic drivers or anyone really with special needs. And the Blue Envelope is it's just an envelope that it's just an organizational tool where a driver can put all their information into, such as registration, license, even emergency contact information, in the event that they get stopped by a police officer for any sort of minor traffic violation. Because as we all know, this happens to the best of us, and it could be a very stressful situation, especially when you're trying to find all the necessary information. So, the blue envelope, the police officers are aware of the blue envelope. So when they see the blue envelope, they know that this is for lack of better terminology, a special needs individual. And they are specially trained to calm the individual down and explain to them that they have nothing to worry about. And they just are supposed to hand the blue envelope to the officer. The officer does not retain the information. It's just the normal information that's requested during a traffic stop, and it's just made to facilitate the traffic stop in the calmest manner possible. Now, how can you request a blue envelope? Families or individuals who would like to participate in the program, these blue envelopes are available at 92 Washington Street. That's the police substation. Or they can contact Sergeant Jason Padilla of the West Orange Police Department. Is Sergeant outside in the hall tonight? He's not. Okay, he usually is, but he's not here tonight. Or you can contact him by phone. Now, this information is on our will be on our website. I don't believe it's up yet, but it will be on our website. Or you can call the non-emergency number if you needed to get in touch with them tomorrow. But this information will be posted to our website. And of course, you still dial 911 for all fire and medical emergencies. The West Orange Film Festival continues. It's amazing. It's the 19th year. It took a pause during the Super Bowl. Some of you may have heard that the Super Bowl was this last Sunday, so there was no film festival, but it does resume this week, Sunday, February 16th. Desperately Seeking Susan is next in the queue. And ticket information is at westorangearts.com. And speaking of the Arts Council, as Councilwoman Gerber Michael mentioned earlier, Black History is on display all month long in the program by the art of Bernard Jackson. We'll never forget. And this information is at the Arts Council, WOArts.org. And you'll see that for every week in February, there is a program going on at the West Orange Arts Center, 551 Valley Road, West Orange, as has been discussed. The next reading program for the intergenerational reading program at the West Orange Library is February 27th. Of course, we have another council meeting before then, but it's good to get this information out so that you can properly mark your calendars if you are so interested. This also came to us on very short notice. Assemblywoman Rosie Balone is having a program tomorrow at the library from 4 to 7 p.m. And you can't read it in the flyer there, but the topics covered are, it's intended to help residents or anyone who's interested in seeking some assistance in paying utility bills, which could be a heavy burden on any home budget. And this is also posted on our social media, and it also is in Spanish. So anybody can go on there and check out these two flyers. And finally, Councilwoman Scarpa had asked me about the Toby Katz Community Center in Degnan Park. And, where did the name come from and, who actually was Toby Katz? So fortunately, I do have some information on that. I actually went to school with her son, Elliot Katz, graduated Mountain High School together. And Toby Katz was a Holocaust survivor. She was a three-term West Orange councilwoman who served consecutively from 1984 to 1996. She was the oldest of three children. She was one of three sisters and she had three brothers. And her family was forcibly removed in 1944 from their home in modern-day Romania. And they were taken to Auschwitz and subsequently Krakow, and witnessed all the horrors of the Holocaust firsthand. In her in an interview in 1991, Toby Katz described many of these horrors firsthand and what she witnessed happen to her family. Now, she came to America in 1948, and Congressman Joseph Minish helped her come directly to West Orange and amazingly reunite her with her two sisters who were in the concentration camps. And Katz recalled in that 1991 interview how she had made a personal pledge to always help the poor people if she survived the horrors of the Holocaust, which she certainly did. She passed away in 2013 at age 92 and was married for over 60 years. And here we see a picture, her wedding picture, and a undated pre-wartime photo, but you can see the defiant look in her eye that basically sent her on the trajectory of her successful career. And Councilwoman Scarpa, I hope that answers your questions about Toby Katz.
So much. So many of our seniors have asked about Toby Katz and have heard about her in the future. She's known for being someone who loved our seniors and really advocated for our seniors. In fact, she used to even hold dances on Friday night at the Katz Center, and it was a vibrant center for our seniors. And Rosary Morelli, our senior advocate in town, always told me how Toby Katz, after Rosary's husband died, tried to fix her up at these dances. Some of our seniors said they want to bring them back. So I thought it was important that we understand Toby's plight, all she did for our community and our seniors, and that we bring her back in spirit in the near future.
Thank you for your additional insight, Councilwoman Scarpa. And finally, if anyone wants to contact all council members, they can do this via email, council@westorange.org. Council President, thank you for allowing me to indulge with my public comments. And at this point, I'd like to turn the mic over to my esteemed colleague from Essex County, Mr. Anthony Puglisi.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. I just want to share, last week we had our annual Community Development Block Grant and Emergency Services Grant check presentations. West Orange was a recipient of several awards. There was road rehabilitation of Franklin Avenue and Oxford Place for $300,000. The Bethany Center received a grant for $49,000. Main Street Counseling received a grant for $25,000. And also the Jewish Family Service of West Orange received a grant for $12,500. These were the grants that you submitted. This program is always a year behind. So these were submitted last year. So then they're awarded this year. I haven't seen on your agenda recently if you had come up with your submissions for this year's program, which would be awarded at this time next year. So that's all. Congratulations.
Mr. Fagan, are we now ready to open it up to the public?
We are, Council President.
Thank you. In preparation for public comment at our meeting, I want to confirm that we are all on the same page on how public comment is regulated as per our ordinance. You can, where Mr. Fagan is standing right now, you can stand in line behind the speaker's platform to speed up the process. Once you are recognized by the chair, you can speak for up to 5 minutes, although we will be immensely happy if you're concise, so we can speed up the process. After everyone has commented, we on the dais will respond. I will note when questions are posed and determine if anyone here can answer now or will be able to in the near future. And if you want us to address your questions before the next council meeting, please provide your email address off microphone to Mr. Fagan after you finish commenting. 3 elements of our ordinance are as follows. Article 3-8, public comment requires the speaker to first state their name and address. Therefore, if the person says they won't provide this information, regardless of the reason, I will not allow them to continue and will direct Mr. Fagan to move on to the next speaker. Now, if you don't want to give your name and address, you can certainly send whatever comments you want to council@westorange.org. All of us will get it. And alternately, you could have someone come to speak at the next council meeting who is able to give their name and address. Article 3-15.2, time limits, requires conduct by public comment speakers who, quote, shall at no time engage in any personally offensive or abusive remarks. The chair shall call any speaker to order who violates any provision of this rule, end quote. Article 3-16.2, conduct of the public, quote, any person who shall disturb the peace of the township council, make offensive or abusive remarks, or conduct himself or herself in a boisterous manner while addressing the council shall be forthwith barred by the presiding officer from further audience before the council, except that if the speaker shall submit to proper order under these rules, permission for him or her to continue may be granted by a majority vote of the council. And I trust that we will not get to that point, but I just wanted to let you know what our ordinance says, and as much as we try not to have to enforce it, we will. Please state your name and address.
Ma'am, excuse me one second, and I pardon the interruption, Council President. I just want to point out that someone had inadvertently kicked out the plug for the camera, and we momentarily lost our video feed, which has since been restored. And I wanted to just make that announcement for the benefit of our Zoom audience. And please pardon my interruption. Please continue as per the instructions of Council President.
Thank you.
Greetings. My name is Maureen Robinson, and I live at 200 Mount Pleasant Avenue, West Orange, New Jersey. This marks the second time I've appeared in a city council meeting in reference to complaints about subpar living conditions in my Crest Ridge apartment, and as an on-time, never late rent-paying tenant since the longevity of my tenure as a resident in West Orange, New Jersey on November the 1st, 2020. Secondly, before I proceed further, I'd like to acknowledge and express my special appreciation for your police chief and his department. That may seem strange to you coming from an 83-year-old Black civil rights activist. Given the history of this country, notwithstanding, I express honor and respect where it is due, based on how I've been treated and based on my own experiences. I pay $2,458 a month for rent and $50 a month for water usage, whereas some residents who moved into Crest Ridge apartments before and after me paid nothing at all for water. I have a problem with that scenario. I don't have an in-unit washer and dryer, and I was informed by management that if I install my own portable washer and dryer, I would have to pay an additional $50 per month for water usage. In my opinion, that's price gouging for water usage, because there are no water meters in any of the apartments to use as a barometer for measuring water usage. The delegation of fees for water usage is determined at the discretion and whim of property owners. I am prepared to challenge that unfair and inequitable disparity in court as far as necessary until equality, fairness, and justice prevails. I don't believe in running because running doesn't resolve anything. Therefore, I operate under the theory that if you don't stand for something you'll fall for anything. On Wednesday, January 15th, or sometime thereafter, I met with Mrs. Janice Adams, Director of the Planning Department. Mr. William O'Donis, Code Enforcement Officer, was present in her office when I arrived. He remained and listened to the complaints about my apartment. Of utmost concern was my suspicion about the possibility of mold in the shower that I use and the necessity of a handicap bar for my safety while standing in the shower. Management has been notified about all of my complaints on numerous occasions, verbally and in documentation. During the discussion with Mrs. Adams, she stated that she had never received any complaints about Crest Ridge Apartments from anyone. However, she committed to sending Mr. Ordonez, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but he's the code inspector to investigate my complaints. On Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, prior to his arrival at my apartment, Mr. Ordonez had a meeting with Crest Ridge Apartments management and maintenance personnel. 30 minutes after the appointed time for my inspection, Mr. Ordonez arrived at my apartment and ultimately referred to maintenance personnel on a first name basis, stating that he was giving them 1 week to make the repairs. Since there had never been any complaints from any of Crest Ridge apartment tenants, I pondered about his first name basis comfort zone. I'm going to end I'm watching the clock and I believe in time. I'm going to end it and I have the rest of my story and it's a travesty of justice and I have already filed a complaint with your municipal court judge. And if you want copies of this, I made extra copies for council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Deborah Harvest, 16 Elliott Place, and I'm coming before you to ask for the assistance of the council and overall West Orange City with the parking on Elliott Place by our Seton Hall prep students. This just started within the last 2 weeks or so. I drove around in the area to see what's going on. I see every street has signs posted where kids can't park there. So of course, they're going to look for different places to park. They have now chosen Elliott Place. That is a two-way street. However, when cars are back to back to back, almost in the driveway, if we didn't care so much for the kids, I would have called the police and had them tow the car because cars are parking in driveways as well. But when there's cars on both sides of the streets, Elliott Place is a two-way street. 2 cars cannot go through. One has to pull up into someone's driveway to let the other car go through and then back out. The other morning, coming out, backing out, you're going real slow, but when the kids are late for school, they turn that corner almost on 2 wheels, flip around in your driveway, you're backing out. It is an accident waiting to happen. I contacted the police. I was put in charge with the sergeant. I asked the sergeant to come around during the day so that they can take a look at what's going on. We need to do something. I don't know. Seton Hall has this beautiful football field. Why can't they have their kids park up there and they have a bus to bus the kids back and forth at a certain time in the morning and a certain time in the afternoon? I'm not saying that kids shouldn't drive. We know that they need to drive and some of the kids come from a far length, but Seton Hall needs to work with the town and find someplace safe for the kids to park and someplace safe for the residents, because somebody's going to get hurt. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Harvest.
Good evening. Ibrahim, Prima Place.
Please speak in the mic. I'm sorry. I
Ibrahim.
apologize for your interruption.
Freedom
That's
Place,
much better.
Restaurant.
Thank you. You can move that microphone a little bit too. Just don't turn it off.
Okay.
What's his last name?
Yeah.
What-
Could you repeat your name again? I'm sorry, I was talking.
Your last name? Could you spell it?
Ibrahim?
Yeah.
His first name, last
Yeah.
name?
Naja.
Naja. Naja?
Correct.
Thank you. Please go ahead. Sorry about that.
I've lived in West Orange for over 30 years. I live on a wonderful street where all my neighbors know each other. We're a tight-knit community. My neighbors they're very diverse, from Cuba, Jamaica, Guyana, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Pakistan, 2 families from Nigeria, love their jollof rice, Pakistan, people from Germany, African Americans, white Americans, Egyptians, Palestinians, Italians, and members of the LGBTQ community. They also practice many different faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and we also have agnostics and atheists. We all get along and respect each other. We have a block party every year where we bring our traditional foods out for everyone to try. It's a street where everyone knows your name, kind of like Cheers, sitcom. They call me the mayor of the street because I'm always out there being nosy, talking to neighbors, just finding out about them. My children were raised on the street. They played with their little trucks up and down the street with other children. It was a wonderful time. Now my children are older. They help babysit the younger children in the neighborhood. My daughter babysits. They tutor the kids. My son pet sits. I mow the lawn for 2 elderly neighbors that we have. Whenever we have a new neighbor, my wife bakes cookies for them, and we welcome them into the neighborhood and assist them with anything they need. We created a WhatsApp group chat where everyone can instantly communicate with each other. It's a great street. The reason I mentioned this is to highlight what West Orange can be and should be. Our street models the diversity and culture of West Orange. Hate has no home on our street. I repeat, hate has no home on our street or neighborhood. We take care of each other and we love our neighbors, but outside of our street, hate festers and shows its ugly head. My wife and daughters are visibly Muslim. They wear the hijab, and I worry about them every day. I worry that they will run into these hate mongers that are in this town. The hate mongers that we see on social media. My kids want to hang out with their friends in West Orange, but I tell them, no, don't come to West Orange. Come to our street, but don't hang out in town, because I'm afraid they'll run into these hate mongers. I tell them, go to South Orange, go to Montclair, anything but West Orange, because they could be targeted. It is sad but true. I would rather they spend money in town and help local businesses rather than go out of town. But the situation does not allow for this. A lot in our community feel the same. They spend their money elsewhere. Let me read to you some of the posts on West Orange social media. There's going to be, this is the quotes, the post. There's going to be a lot of people turned away, Muslims for starters. They are rapists, pedophiles, enemies of the state. See something, do something. Stop letting these suicide bombers in this country. Unite against devil worshippers. Gotta kill these Muslim devils. A good Muslim is a dead one. We're gonna send your ass back to where you came from. Rapists, pedophiles, and anti-American. We as Americans have to put a stop to this religious fanaticism. This is all over West Orange's social media. Unite. It's a war of good and evil, says somebody. Send these efforts to hell. And get eyes on the ones in this country, legal or not. They are enemies of the state. This is what is in West Orange social media. One guy wrote, it's time we find these scumbags and give them a good old-fashioned Jewish American ass whooping and tell them to get the F out of our country, or offer to introduce them to Allah personally and decisively. I am telling you all this because this is happening. These bigots, these people is happening in our town. We want to have the anti-Muslim, the resolution that we sent to you to combat Islamophobia and anti-Muslim and anti-Arab racism in this town. We sent this to you several times. Last year, we worked with the previous town council, Castellino, Asmaret, Scarpa. I have 8 seconds left. Please pass the resolution. I beg of you. I have 42 seconds, or I'll keep going. I don't have my glasses. I know a statement was made by a town council president that you assure West Orange community that you oppose discrimination in all forms without reservation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's great, and I appreciate your words, but they don't comfort me or protect me. or protect my family from these bigots. Words do matter, like Scarpa always says, words do matter. But action speaks better than words. Pass this resolution and show that you hear us and care and that you support this marginalized community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Please.
Darnell Gibbs, 200 block Lincoln Avenue, Orange, New Jersey. I'm Darnell Gibbs, CEO of Pure Natural Vibes located at 470. I would like to say congratulations to the new council members and nice seeing the returning Councilmember Scarpa, Councilmember Gabriel Michael, Councilmember Michelle Castellano. In honor of Black History Month, I would like to say thank you to the Township of West Orange for allowing Pure Natural Vibes to be its first Black-owned dispensary here in the town. It's been a great feeling. A lot of warm welcomes. We're meeting a lot of the town residents, building relationships with them. We'll let you know that we're gonna start planning community meetings this spring and summer to inform the consumers of different types of products that we carry, the appropriate uses for them. So if they have any questions, we're definitely going to answer them. And once again, thanks a lot and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
Thank
Good evening, members of the town council and our
Excuse me,
community.
I apologize for interrupting you. Could we get your name
I'm
and
about to
address?
do that
please?
right now.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. My name is Mawish, 24 Old Indian Road, and I'm standing before you tonight because I cannot stay silent any longer. I speak for those in our town who are living in fear and facing hate and discrimination, especially our Muslim and Arab neighbors. As you've heard some of the things that were said by Ibrahim earlier, we are facing a lot of discrimination in this town. Our town's motto is hate has no home here. But from where I stand, hate does have a place in West Orange. It's not a problem that's far away. It's right here in our schools, our workplaces, and on our streets. And we as a community have a responsibility to act. I'm asking the town council to take immediate action by adding the Islamophobia resolution to the next meeting that directly addresses these issues. This resolution isn't just paperwork, it's a statement, a commitment that we will not tolerate hate, Islamophobia, anti-Arab racism, or any form of discrimination here in West Orange. We will not back down. We will not be silent. We will act to ensure that every person in this town, no matter their background, feels safe and respected. By passing this resolution, we are showing that hate has no place here. We are here and we are not backing down. We will keep pushing until this town lives up to its motto that hate has no home here. We will fight for the safety and dignity of every person in West Orange because silence is no longer an option. We are not going to be silent. We are not going anywhere. We are going to keep coming back. We will come back in 10s, 20s, 30s, 100s, 200s. And if we need to bring outside counsel, we will do that. Because West Orange is a place that hate has no home here. And we deserve that. Every single person in this town deserves that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we are. Some people I don't think have last night, but please, I know how to run the meeting. Okay, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, could I get your name and address, please?
Sure, Amelia Abdelrazik, 32 Virginia Ave.
Can you spell your last name?
Yeah. Abdelrazik.
I'm sorry, can you go a little?
Oh, yes,
A.
sure. A and then B as in boy, D as in dog, ELRAZIK.
Okay, and what was the address again?
32 Virginia Ave.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. It is my first town council meeting, so
Welcome.
so lovely to be here. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I was just moved to come as actually a pretty new West Orange resident. My husband and I bought a house here a little over a year ago, and We lived in Egypt, Tunisia, California. I was born in Rhode Island, so the weather and the politics feel very similar in New Jersey, I will say. But we really fell in love with West Orange. I mean, a town that's like 12% Haitian immigrants, I think, and just that was so moving to me, just the amount of diversity in this town, like Ibrahim talked about. And we are kind of a multicultural, multi-religious, multiracial family. My husband's from Egypt. And, in the past few years, it has really been hectic across the country. There have been Arab kids hit in crosswalks a few years ago. And I remember after that, I was kind of tugging my husband's hand saying like, hey, we can cross the street. And he said, no, I'm scared. I don't feel comfortable. I want to wait for a crosswalk. And these kinds of things, even that Ibrahim read on social media, it's really wild out there. Just the amount of lack of empathy folks have for each other. And, I wish that we were in a place where we wouldn't have to pass any of these kinds of resolutions, right? That no one was feeling unsafe, that attacks weren't happening at mosques and synagogues and churches, right? Like these things are happening. But this is a town that celebrates Diwali, that celebrates Rosh Hashanah and Ramadan and Christmas. And I'm so proud to be part of a town like that. And I think when, I again would really hope we don't need to kind of pass resolutions for each kind of group, but if a group is coming to you saying we really do feel unsafe, I think from where I'm standing, that's the kind of thing that passing the Islamophobia resolution really just puts a really positive step forward in the relationship with that group. So yeah, I'm a new resident, really excited to come to a lot more town council meetings. I have things to say about that cross in Harrison. Those people do not stop at that crosswalk. I'll be coming for a lot of other issues. These drivers, they be hitting kids. I don't know what is happening, but I'm here today for the Islamophobia resolution and just thank you so much for having us all. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Heather Naja, Freeman Place. I'm here to ask you to please put the Islamophobia and anti-Arab resolution on the agenda. I'm here as a mom, a neighbor, friend, and someone who works in our community. I'm someone who people are comfortable to approach generally, especially other Muslims that are not obviously Muslim like me. We need to protect the future generation. We all want our children to grow and feel accepted. As someone who has lived here over 30 years and raised my children here, I had to make sure I put myself out there so people can know me and know that I'm not someone to be feared. And as such, my children should not be feared. And other children, everyone should be treated equally and fairly and given a chance to be who they are and be respected for who they are. We should be building a good future for them. I appeal to you as parents, friends, and neighbors to do what's right. Show compassion, kindness, and acceptance of each other. Actions speak louder than words. Also, as a side note, about 15-ish years ago, I was on the HRC and we had something called Conversations on Race. We need to bring this back and learn about each other and not judge each other. Have a good evening.
Matt Dragon, 13 Sheridan Avenue. I'm here tonight to ask that as elected representatives of the residents of West Orange, you work together to consider the resolution against Islamophobia and anti-Arab racism. In being elected to town council, you become the advocates and voice of all the residents of West Orange. Your ideas and platforms played a role in your election, but you were also elected to represent us. Not some of us, all of us. Not just those of us that look like you, not just those of us that agree with you. So I would ask that you would show the same empathy I've seen when someone complains about noise or trash pickup, even though their problem isn't outside your front door. That you hear your fellow residents, your neighbors, your constituents, when they present a problem and ask for your help in supporting a solution. even if that problem is anti-Arab and Islamophobic statements and behaviors in our township. On Facebook groups that associate themselves with our town, screamed at high school students as they exercise their First Amendment rights, or even hurled from this very podium in public comment to this body. So we know that you know that this is a real problem. Before this council, as it's happened at your own meetings, in your own chamber, at your own podium. Yet I am hopeful that you will take up this resolution. Hopeful that you will engage with your neighbors. Hopeful that despite your past dismissal of this important and impactful issue, you will give it another look. Because that is all we can do, work together to make our town a better place. Inclusive and representative of all of our residents. So please do your part and put the resolution against Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate on your next agenda for discussion and a vote. Thank you.
Before we begin, it is appropriate for me to discuss an ordinance that's on the docket later at this time.
It certainly is, but please first give us your name and address, please.
My name is Jacob Stevens. I live at 7 Greenwood Ave here in West Orange. I'm here tonight to talk about the leaf blower ordinance, which is actually the last item on the docket. So I have experience in the landscaping industry from all sort of angles of it. I grew up doing it. I have family members who still do it. But that I don't believe has a bearing or special bearing on why I'm here tonight. I believe that the ordinance as worded is perhaps too strong. The inclusion of both two-stroke and four-stroke leaf blowers in the same wording, same restrictions, I believe is an overreach. The dangers are present. I will not deny, no one will deny, two-stroke engines do pose serious health risks to operators of those engines. However, the technologies of the four-stroke engine, we are all familiar with in our automobiles, pose a significantly diminished risk to the operators of the equipment. And at present time, there is not sufficient electrically powered leaf blowers, specifically what are known as push-behind leaf blowers, that are, as of right now, four-stroke engines, almost entirely, for commercial use. Why is this relevant? Well, we have quite a few commercial properties in town, Essex Green, the Whole Foods Plaza, which need to be maintained with or without this ordinance. And the difficulty in doing so, I believe, would be significantly greater without the use of these push-behind blowers. So what I would like to ask for is that the ordinance be revised, or perhaps an exemption on four-stroke engines specifically. And for what it's worth, I would also like to toss my hat in the ring in support of the Palestine or anti-Islamophobia motion for next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Don Freundlich. I'm at 62 Dogwood Road. It's a dead end road. We have Dogwood Drive also. At the end of Dogwood Drive, we have a field called Bowling Field. Someone approved putting lighting in there. I've lived there for close to 25 years now. We haven't had lights. Nobody uses the field late at night. Now it's lit up like the Field of Dreams. It can be seen from space. It's an exaggeration, but from my backyard, I have to shield my eyes to be able to stand out there and see things. I've gotten PSE&G to put visors, small visors on the tops of these LED lights, shaded it somewhat, but the lights are still bright. It's light pollution. I used to be able to go down there late at night and set up my telescope and look at the heavens, and you know, it was dark. It was great. Can't do that anymore. It's well lit. It's lit all night long. I need you to at least approve timers for these lights so that they go off at 9 o'clock? So they're not on all night long? Can you do that? That's all I'm asking for. I've got PSEG, like I said, to put visors on them and aim them a little better, but it still comes through the woods. I'm about 200 feet away from the field. Without foliage, the light comes through and lights up our backyards. I'm speaking for about 5 houses that are affected by the lights that are coming through there. We back up to the field. We're used to the dark woods when we look back there. It's all lit up like the heavens. I don't even need a flashlight to walk around with my dog at night. When I pull into my driveway at night, I've got a beam of light facing me. That shouldn't be like that. Anyhow, I understand that somebody said the lights were put in for safety. Nobody's there late at night. We don't need the lights on. It's not a Super Bowl all night long. Can you guys approve some timers? Go off at 9. That'd be nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug Adams, 9 West 34th. And I do have to give a little bit of an interlude. During the season, summer, I was walking and Dogwood is where I was walking at, knocked on somebody's door. And they had a place where a 400-pound bear was at his backyard, at his patio. So this is a brave dude who's out there walking at night with his dog. I want beams, I want spotlights, I want laser guns, I want weapons, a 400-pound bear. But I can understand for somebody who likes to be outside, but I was thinking to myself, oh, he's brave. Listen, there's a couple things and the agenda is real long and I know you guys are not gonna cover that. But I do think that there are a couple things that are really important. I've been watching the council meetings and it seems like a lot of important issues are constantly getting tabled. And I know, and I really do appreciate, Council President, how you've tried to navigate through the dialogue. It's kind of an interesting experience for me. Seeing you in these contexts over a long period of time to kind of see the evolution, if you will, of your role here. But one of the things that I'm challenged with is you talked about the ideal of an independent council. And what I find is a lot of groupthink that if one person doesn't agree with it, or if the group doesn't agree with it, I find that there are council people who are giving comments in opposition to what the issue is, but yet they're still voting with the group. And I think that that's a little bit of a challenge because without the rigor of a dialogue, then how do we get to the best conclusions for the town? The other thing I think, and this is with regard to the lighting issue, it's regard to the resolution, and even some of these resolutions that are not being addressed today, that there seems to be a lot of intensity around moving around some issues, but other issues that are impacting the heart, the mindset, the spirit, the comfort, and the unity, and the process of healing in our town are being left unaddressed. I remember and sat in the council for the dialogue around the anti-Semitism resolution. And to be honest, I was for it. Now, I'm just going to tell you, resolutions don't do anything for me because false words are just words. But as the person said, words matter. And so if it's a passionate need to do something for one group, which I really support, because they're out there every Saturday, every Friday night, Mama and grandmama and grandpappy and the kids are out walking on the street. If somebody wanted to do them dirty, they know where to find them. So I think it is important to put some things in place to protect our vulnerable communities. But I also think if we have passion around something for one group, we need to have passion around something for the other group. And I just want you to know, neither one of these groups are my tribe. But I still think if we're going to lead, we got to lead for everybody. And so it doesn't make sense to have a whole community all up in arms and riled up. And this used to be something that was handled in the Human Relations Commission, through the people that you appointed, and along with the administration, but the council got involved. The council took control of this issue. And there's a lot of resolutions on here where I see the council is trying to take control of things that were normally distributed decisions, that were group conversations. And I noticed that we're spending a lot of time in investment around things like the council and special counsel and this thing and the environmental thing over here and the environmental thing over there. And we just got a lot of people in our community right now that are suffering and hurting and expecting different. And so I think that as a council, I think that we have to be a council for everyone. I think that at the very least, we have to entertain the dialogue. Be where you're going to be. Vote no, vote yes, do whatever you're going to do and live with the consequences when the election day comes. But don't just sit up and decide, and this has come up in council conversation, that there's been conversations with council people, I'm sure, one-on-one, so it doesn't violate Open Meetings Act. And then when you come to the meeting, you have some agreements on what you're going to do and what you're going to vote on. And I think that that's very challenging and it defeats the purpose of an open meeting.
Your time is
Thank
up.
My name is Dean Weiss, 11 Tannery Lane, Roseanne, New Jersey. I'm here about the blower ordinance. I've been landscaping in West Orange since 1989. Some of the commercial properties I do are the Fairmont House behind here, the Degnan House, the other end of the Main Street. Can you speak into the microphone? Seton Hall Prep and the JCC on Northfield. These are all very big commercial accounts that can't possibly be maintained appropriately or cost efficiently with the resolution that you plan to pass on the blower ordinance. But there's a personal side to this. As somebody who's been in the industry as a landscaper and some of my constituents in the room having to follow this ordinance, you know, there's not many people that have a job that every day is Earth Day. You know, the amount of trees that we plant and the amount of recycling we do, a homeowner couldn't match in his lifetime. And now and other towns are forcing us to buy these lithium batteries, which go against every grain of us as environmentalists because of the amount of carbon footprints it takes to make these batteries and the impact it leaves when they are recycled. 95% of these batteries do not get recycled. They end up in landfills, they hurt the water supply, they cause fires, and it is a serious issue. What was intended in Maplewood and Montclair has not been achieved. It might be quiet, but the environmental impact remains. They wanted to limit the air pollution, the blowing. It's still there. They wanted to leave leaves in the beds. They're still removed. The vacuums still operate. It's not what it is. What did happen, though, was a substantial increase of costs to all these homeowners, an additional tax. Some of these bills have tripled, minimally doubled, and sometimes tripled. So I want you to think about some of these impacts other than just it's quiet or, you know, there's not a substitute for these big blowers that's electric. So you're forcing us into a situation we can't even handle. So I want you to think about coming from somebody who cares about the environment, that what you're asking us to do goes against what being an environmentalist really is. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, excuse me, Ed Reichman, 12 Moore Terrace. I'm here to speak in favor of the leaf blower ordinance. Couple of things, couple of facts first. 2011 study found that two-stroke gas-powered leaf blowers spew out more pollution than a Ford F-150 pickup truck. The sound emitted is greater than the sound of an aircraft taking off, and that sound carries for 200 yards in all directions. In my neighborhood, which is a very dense neighborhood, that means that about 200 houses are affected. If one leaf blower is going off, that means 200 residents and households are affected by that leaf blower. During the warmer months, I can neither work or relax in my backyard because these things are always going. I have double pane glass windows, and even inside the house with all the windows closed, with the air conditioning going, I can still hear the intrusive sound. And I mean, not just hear it, but I'm overwhelmed by it and have to adjust my volume on my headphones so that I can get through my Zoom calls because I work from home. There are better commercial and personal alternatives, mulching mowers, leaf sweepers, and the issue with lithium batteries has been shown to be a red herring. Those things are on balance more environmentally friendly than two-stroke or four-stroke engines. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Panulo. I live in Essex Fells in the 200-foot notice area of the West Essex Highlands project. Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Clerk, gentlemen, how are you? I have not been here since last summer before the council. I'll circle back to that at the end, but I am here tonight to discuss the current status of the project to the new council with some things you may not know. I am the president of We Care. We are the objector at the planning board to the West Essex Highlands project. The DEP recently approved permits for this project in November, posted December 4th. There are 3 separate objections or requests for hearings that were made to the DEP. We Care is one, representing interests of those in the condos, the Grand, and the Pleasantdale Chateau, as well as all the members of We Care. Separately, the Township of Essex Fells, Verona, and Roseland jointly filed a request to a hearing to the DEP specific to the permits that were issued on the grounds they were issued. There's Essex Fells water collection well on the property at Essex Fells Country Club. There's a pump. DEP shut it down in 2021 due to contamination. Their application to reopen was approved 2 weeks before by the same reviewer at the DEP under a different stormwater standard at the bottom of the mountain. And last, Essex Fells Country Club separately requested a hearing, to the administrative hearing at the DEP as per the administrative process. The DEP chose to deny all 3. And what that means, they denied them because, according to council and DEP objection and the DEP's reply, none of the parties have a particularized property interest in the objection. Under the rules or the regs, and I'm not a lawyer, the only party that has standing particularized property interest to request a hearing in the permit decision of the DEP would be the applicant. The only condition under which an applicant would request a hearing for a permit would be if it was denied. The law is vague on that area. We Care is represented by Eastern Environmental Law Center, which is the sequela to the Rutgers Environmental Law Center, and they have filed our objection. They have recently filed a notice of appeal now to Appellate Division, which is the next step in escalation. The other parties will do what they're going to do with regard to filing notices of appeal and briefs that will follow. There are over 20 different elements that are identified in the stormwater management plan, which does not conform to best management practice, stormwater regulations, and our expert, Princeton Hydro, has submitted 4 memos. All were ignored. They will be testifying before the planning board shortly, as will the balance of experts that we will begin to present. All that said, I appeared before this town council in mid-June and early July with Paul Trachtenberg after we provided notice to this council and to the planning board that the zoning ordinance that is being dealt with or is providing for this development was not effective nor filed with the Essex County Planning Board until July 3rd, 2024. The old ordinance, 1934-04, among other things, expressly prohibits multifamily housing on block 179, lot 32, the 120 acres that we're talking about. That ordinance was in effect on the date the Site Plan Review Advisory Board approved the developer application, and therefore it was deemed filed. On that date, that filed, deemed complete application was to be considered under 1934, which was the only ordinance in effect at the time. We gave notice to this council. Proper direction of the council then would have been to direct the planning board for a consistency review of the ordinances and the master plan in effect at the time the plan was deemed complete. We will be back here at the end of the planning board process or sooner if council advises to request the same thing be done then that it should have been now, which is to follow the law 4055 D 10.5. It's in 3 letters from Bill Potter sent here. We will be back here to do this all over again because the ordinance was not in effect at the time. I appreciate your time. My time's run out. Thank you kindly. Well, one last thing. The New Jersey Conservation Foundation has joined the opposition with EELC, and we hear and the appeal. You're the first to hear about it. We'll announce it soon.
Thank you, Mr. Panulo. Please.
Zas Academy, 4 Dawes Avenue. I'm almost sick of hearing myself talk about this subject, but here goes. I want to thank you, members of the council, who are moving to vastly improve the quality of life in our beloved West Orange. As a 32-year resident who acquired asthma after I moved here, I appreciate that you care. You will be showing me personally in limiting the use of these extremely toxic machines that moving toward making the air of our backyards, the neighborhoods and parks more breather friendly. As we know, not only sensitive groups like workers, children, seniors, people with health conditions, and our beloved pets suffer from these engine fumes, but everyone's health is heavily impacted by these filthy machines. Not only can I not take a walk in my neighborhood or even the park or the reservoir in the spring, summer, or fall without the threat of running into a choking, menacing cloud of one of these machines, but I'm not even safe within the confines of my own home with my doors and windows shut tight. I do happen to work at home also since COVID. First, the unbearably loud sound interrupts my telehealth sessions, making it impossible to hear my clients. And then the gas fumes seep in and permeate the house, choking me and precipitating an asthma attack. One time, a very complicated and emotional situation was created with a client because of the deafeningly loud interruption from my neighbor's landscapers when I could not hear what she had to tell me. In my opinion, this client was traumatized at that session. This was an unforeseen and unnecessary side effect of lawn care. We all pay exorbitant taxes here. At least our livelihoods and ability to perform our duties and services to also earn to pay those taxes should be respected and protected. Speaking of my neighbors, they're seniors and they're infirm. I asked them, are they not bothered by their own landscapers? The toxic fumes and the noise. Much to my shock, they said they were afraid to say anything to them and are waiting for the town to do something and the laws to change. I swear that happened. I was shocked to hear another commenter tonight say that he's an environmentally friendly landscaper, protecting the use of these gas-powered blowers. So there's a few myths that I'd like to address, myths, facts, if you will indulge me. Myth, they are not powerful enough to blow leaves. Fact, commercial electric backpack blowers are comparable and sometimes more powerful than the gas-powered equivalent. Myth, the price is burdensome. They are too expensive. Fact, they're around $100 more to buy one with one battery included. Yes, and you'll probably want to get an extra battery, but the return on investment is now down to 10 months because prices have come down so much. I got these facts from a commercial distributor. In other words, Professional landscapers will make their investment dollars back in 10 months. From there, it is all profit as no gas or oil or regular maintenance is needed to run these machines. Myth: laws transitioning or limiting use will unfairly impact minority groups and immigrant workers and low-income workers. Fact: it is the opposite. They will be protected. Low-income, minority, and immigrant workers are the most adversely affected by being made to expose themselves for hours, days, weeks, and months, year after year, and using these filthy machines. Not only the 95 to 115 decibel sound causes permanent hearing loss, dementia, and chronic stress, but because they only burn 2/3 of the fuel, the rest is spewed into the air in the form of noxious fumes that contain chemicals which include but are not limited to cancer-causing benzenes, formaldehyde, ozone, volatile organic compounds, and nitrogen oxide, and much, much more, which impact workers and bystanders alike. These workers are at a higher risk of lung cancer and other cancers, respiratory diseases, Alzheimer's, to name a few.
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you for hearing me. Appreciate your time.
That was brutal. Sally Malanga, Ridge Road. On behalf of Our Green,
Into the mic, please.
on behalf of Our Green West Orange members, I'm calling upon my town council, my mayor, my fellow West Orange residents, landscapers, to come together with a special meeting since the ordinance on first reading looks like it's going to be postponed this evening. It's time that we get some of these environmental laws passed before we don't have a planet on which to fight with each other on. So where is the opportunity? Everyone will be better off without these devices. Let's not even talk about the ear-splitting noise and pollution or which is better, gas or electric. Let's talk about the business advantages of the opportunity at hand. Our Green West Orange members are calling for the abandonment of landscaping by brute force to be replaced by a collaboration with nature in which we rely on to survive. This is the cost-effective way. Let's follow the example set by Westchester County, New York, 1 hour from here. Similar population, trees, and demographics. They are way ahead of us. Since 2010, they have benefited because landscapers, residents, and the townships are saving millions of dollars by simply stopping this war on leaves. Let's just leave the leaves. What they have learned is that leaves will decompose into nutrient-rich soil on their own. Without them, we all must pay money for fertilizer and mulch that nature gives us for free. All our landscapers have to do is run over them with a lawnmower, or not even that. They will become small pieces that dissolve into the soil. No more struggling to pile them up, capture them, chase them, bag them, cart them away. Let's just love them and leave them and on to the next client. I bet that will save landscapers 25%. Residents, start asking your landscaper for a discount. Next season, there is no need for a spring cleanup using blowers. There's nothing to blow. No charge. As to the cost savings for the township, it's enormous. Since 2010, the townships of Dobbs Ferry, Scarsdale, New Rochelle saved between $100,000 and $800,000 annually in expenses related to leaves. By not blowing leaves into piles on the streets, we too could save our DPW labor, overtime, fuel, and trucking away leaves. The workers can be redeployed to other important matters like park maintenance, tree planting. Maybe they can get manicures. Blowers, whether gas or electric, will be used sparingly. No more stinking like gasoline at the end of the day. No more driving around with extra gas tanks in the truck. The Leave the Leaves technique will help landscapers and the township avoid the possible liability of class action lawsuits for damaging the lungs, hearts, and hearing of township employees and landscape workers. This crisis will make landscapers better businessmen and women. And if you don't like leaves, I suggest another way of looking at them. Look up in the sky at the tree above you and have gratitude for its support of your life, for the roof over your head, the oxygen it provides you, for the shade you are graced with, for the free mulch and fertilizer it rains down on you that supports the beneficial insects that provide your food supply. Gratitude will take away any of your anxiety about leaves. We are foolish if we don't learn and take an advantage from this crisis, both imagined and real, and turn it into an opportunity for a win-win for residents, landscapers, and the township. Let's get moving now. There is money to be made with the strategy of prohibiting gas blowers and leaving the leaves. Thank you.
Beverly Riley at 56 Lenox Terrace. Sally has stolen my show. But the show must go on. So yes, I am here to say that I am opposed to both the air and noise pollution that gas-fueled landscape machines cause, but that's not really what I'm going to talk about this evening. If we can all think back to September of 2021, when Hurricane Ida descended on New Jersey, and we saw massive amounts of water from rain and a terrible rock slide on Northfield Avenue. On February 4th, the New York Times shared with the public months worth of analysis of the Hurricane Helene that pretty much destroyed many towns in Western North Carolina and in South Carolina and in Florida, areas that had been up until then not risk areas for hurricanes. And what the New York Times analysts found was that hurricanes have changed their threat to populations. It's no longer about wind, it's about rain. And we know in New Jersey what rain can do. I know that I felt living on a steep slope here in West Orange, I thought my house was going to float down to Pleasant Valley Way during Ida. I'd never seen so much rain. So this is talking about what's happened in 2012, what's happened this year, and what's in the future. Our storms are getting worse, and the hurricanes are life-threatening, property-threatening because of water. So what does this have to do with the ordinance that's at hand? And I will say everything. West Orange soil, unfortunately for those of us who are gardeners, is clay soil. It's about the worst soil you could possibly get if you're a gardener. Hard to dig into, filled with rocks, okay? And the other thing is when we have heavy rains, the water pools because this clay soil does not allow the moisture to disperse. It just collects and it contributes to massive flooding. Anyone who has a home in West Orange knows what happens when it rains here to their basements. Some pumps are not. And it's really have a lot to do with the amount of rain that's coming in these storms and also our clay soil. So what can we do about this? We can manage what we have. We can manage the soil. And the way to do that is by leaving the leaves. Leaves should not be treated like trash. Leaves should be treated like treasures, and they're come to us for free. But right, nature provides these leaves Every fall, they collect, and somehow from the 1950s, when we didn't collect our leaves except by raking them and leaving them in a leaf pile somewhere on our property for the kids to play in, turned into a business where we had to get rid of them and treat them like trash and build pyramids on our streets that were dangerous for traffic, for children, especially when it's wet and the leaves are slippery. And then we hire landscapers to blow them with gas fueled machines, and we get trucks to suck them up, and we carry them off to the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. These are very important to our soil. We need to save these leaves and collect them on our own property. I'm talking to you as town council people, but the people who can really make the change, because you may not vote in favor of this ordinance. The people who can make the change are behind me. The residents of West Orange who have homes. There is nothing in the old or new Bible, in the Koran. There is nothing in any scripture or text that says thou shalt mow their lawn once a week. Nothing. You can stop doing it. I'm giving you permission. Give yourself that empowerment. There is nothing that says that. We had a drought this year. People were still mowing the lawn.
Your
even though
time
the
is
grass
up.
Wasn't growing. My time is up.
Yes, please finish your comment and be efficient.
I'm just saying we need to leave those leaves. They're going to save us from wet basements. They're going to save us from flooding. They provide shelter for animals, insects, birds. It's very important. And we need to stop the insanity. The issue is save your leaves.
Thank you, Ms. Riley.
Name is Richard Leonardis. I live at 1073 Pleasant Valley Way. I'm going to say the complete opposite. I spend a lot of money for a landscaper. I spend a lot of money for a guy to come and decorate my house for Christmas. I spend a lot of money for a tree guy to come and do my trees and plant flowers. And I don't want my house looking like crap with a bunch of leaves all over it. I want my house looking pristine. Now, a lot of good has come from this, all this talk about leaves and mulching and all this. I own a lawnmower shop. A lot of the landscapers thought they couldn't mulch. They didn't know what they were going to do in Montclair with the leaves. They didn't know what was going to happen. They've all gone, a lot of them have gone to mulching. They found out A, mulching does work. 2, they can mulch some of them leaves into the ground. Can't mulch them all, but they can mulch a lot of them into the ground. So things they thought they couldn't do, they could do. Montclair had this partial ban in the summer. And they never thought they could use battery-powered blowers. They used the battery-powered blowers in the summer, and it worked. Right? Montclair then enacted this full blower ban. I can tell you because I saw the landscaper, I saw the homeowner, and I have many government contracts. So, and I saw a lot of the towns. Montclair, the town people will tell you, we do the best we can do with what we have, and we can't do it properly because the equipment doesn't work. I stood up here last year and we talked about battery powered blowers and they said, well, the technology will get better and we're going to go there. Well, it's been a year and the technology hasn't gotten better. The 2 best products on the market would be Palanque, which runs the longest, but takes the longest time to charge, and Cress. Cress by far leads the pack. It's extremely expensive. That's what Montclair's using. That's what I'm now selling to Glen Ridge because Glen Ridge enacted this partial ban. Partial ban is fine. I think if you would extend your partial ban longer in the spring and longer in the fall, that would be it would be much fairer for the landscaper. The landscaper this year has 2 major issues. He has you guys wanting to take away their blower, and they have the president wanting to ship their laborers out of the country. So major problem for these guys, right? So I think if you hit them with this blower problem, that's a huge issue. Then Montclair went to no generators. Well, guess what? They're all using a generator. Montclair in the spring, they cheated a little bit. And in the fall, I don't care what anybody back here says, because I've ridden with many landscapers, they had to use gas blowers. They were using gas blowers cheating, and they're all using generators cheating because they have to be able to charge these blowers, which are about 60 to 70% as effective as a battery powered blower. Not to mention the cost is 4 times the amount of money. And I'm not talking to you, I make money whether I sell the gas or I sell the battery powered unit. I'm in Glen Ridge. I'm sitting in the front row and they're talking about banning the blower. And there's a guy, Steve, in the front, very nice guy. I know the guy, I've done business with him. And he's in charge of Battery Park. So he says, I have 28 acres in Battery Park. I use 100% battery. We don't need gas. And I'm able to do everything with battery. We don't need gas, anything. So after the meeting is all over, I move over next to him and I said, Steve, how do you do it? He goes, well, I have a group of guys that go out every day and they just do cleanups with the battery blowers. I said, well, the landscaper shows up once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks. How does he handle the leaves? Because when the leaves are frozen or the leaves are wet, how does he do that? And he goes, he can't. I said, well, what you just put on record was you can do it. So if you have a caretaker and he's out doing it every day, he can do it. These guys can't show up once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks when the leaves are wet and do this. I spoke to Joe Pelos, God rest his soul. I gave him a blower to use. It didn't work. I spoke to James. I gave him a blower to use. And this is when he's doing 10 miles of street a day to move the leaves off of the street. And he couldn't do it. So my challenge to you is I'm Richard Leonardis. My company is Jersey Power Equipment. My phone number is 973-667-1022. If you'd like me to come down and demo for you or meet with any one of you privately, I'd love to do it. I'm fearful that my rates are going to go through the roof with my landscaper. And I got to tell you, I sell battery powered mowers, right? I will cut my lawn next year with a battery powered robot, right? The gentleman that was up here talking before, his mother drives a Ford Lightning she just
Your
bought.
time is up.
Bought a Tesla and spent $100,000 with me on battery powered equipment. And she'll tell you, I cannot do it without gas, spring and fall. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Darren Nurse, 6 Dartmouth Road. Guess someone give me some leaves now, but anyway, one of the biggest thing I heard here tonight for me, just listening to everybody speak, is accountability. And one of the things I want to point out is, you know, as a town, we have to begin to look at, this is not a town any longer. This is a city. And it becoming a city, now we got to budget a different way. And in budgeting a different way is we're going to have to operate and think in a different manner. Because of the diversity, because of all the different things that are taking place, you know, these are the things that we have to begin to push for, right? One of the groups I'm part of is the Downtown Alliance, right? And what I saw here tonight, when they put up on the board about the West Orange Film Festival, right? You got a West Orange Film Festival, but how is that publicized, right? How is that benefit? What money is that really bringing to the town being in the AMC theater, right? Because this is money where we're saying we're trying to find money for the budget, we're trying to find money for this, trying to find money for things. If we have an event like this and this event is not pushed the right way, guess what? It generates nothing, right? We have Turtleback Zoo, right? And is in cooperation with the county, but we don't work with the county in taking 1 million people that comes to the town. And after they go to Turtleback Zoo, where do they go? They're gone. They're dispersed from there. But here it is. We have a Downtown Alliance where you want to cut it out, but they have they're in the position, right, to put on festivities around all these events in order to generate money. So these are the things I think we need to begin to look at. And I don't want anybody to take offense to it, if the town council is not in the mind frame of thinking like a city and still thinking as a town of 1962, then maybe this might be the thing for you, because you need to start thinking in a bigger fashion. And until you begin to do that, you're going to continue to hurt this town. You're going to continue to hurt the people.
Gentleman said tonight here, like, listen, what are you hating for, right? Everybody has a right to believe and do as they wish, Keep your personal feelings to yourself. That's how I feel. But this is the thing, we cannot continue to operate like this, because what's going to happen is you're going to thinking small with a growing population, and everything is just crashing from that point on. And that's just my piece. I have to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Nurse.
Dr. Robert Holtzen, 10 Gaston Street. It was about 10 years ago that I stood before this group and this microphone to plead with the council to do something about the sound in this room. We still cannot hear you. And it's about time that the town of West Orange comes into 2025. These 4 speakers, I don't know, I don't hear any sound coming out of them at all. I don't know if that's where the sound comes from, but I would recommend that we speak to the African Heritage Group, which ran that town council debate. Remember the forum? It was magnificently sounded. You could hear every word you said, those who were running, and people were connecting to you. But I've been coming a long time, and I've had to sit here, even though I don't have a hearing problem, according to my doctors. I have to sit here because otherwise I would not hear practically anything. Please, could we do something about this room? Thank you.
Good evening, Erin Bullen, 17 Champlain Terrace, Montclair, New Jersey. I'm here from the future where we have no leaf blowers. And everything's fine. That's it. Have a good night. No, just kidding, just kidding. It's wonderful. It had been a plague. I also, just like so many people that have spoken, we live in a pretty concentrated area, and I would have, I always regale this story. There was one day I live on a 1-block road. I had 16 leaf blowers because 4 neighbors had their landscapers come, and they all come with 4 leaf blowers. And it was such a rack. I mean, it was almost comical, right? But on the other side of that, once they were done and I could come out of my house with my child, who at the time was about 2, about that high from the ground. And these leaf blowers, not only are they loud and disruptive while they're running, but they deposit these VOCs out into the air, but it stays there. It could stay there for up to a week, just hovering above the ground, where our tiny little bodies of our children, that's where they walk, that's where they breathe, that's where they play, right? Like, there has to be a better way to maintain our children and our families' quality of life, right? And this is a really easy way to shift it. I know it's hard for the people that depend on these machines and their livelihood, but this is about our quality of life. And if I can't go inside of my home because you're using a machine, and not only is it going through, it's going through my building materials, it's going through my body, right? You are like absolutely trespassing in my home. This is environmental trespassing. And it's a real thing. It's a real thing, because I know it's really happening, but it is a real thing. And it's time that we make a decision to make that progress forward. And you guys can do it because we did it. We're right next door. We share streets. We share so many things, right? We share lots of I didn't know you guys had a film festival. We have one too. Let's also both not have leaf blowers, right? So, and the gentleman was saying that he pays a lot of money for his landscaping and decorations. And, a lot of people pay a lot of money for landscaping. And it is, while there are some people where it is a necessity, they can't physically do it themselves. Many people, it is a luxury, and you can pay a lot of money for all this stuff. If it's more expensive because it's battery powered, then just pay a little bit more money. If you're willing to already pay the money, then up the ante to make sure that your neighbors aren't being harmed by the service you're bringing into their home. You are bringing a service into other people's homes that they did not ask for, right? You're bringing chemicals into my child's body that I did not sanction. You are, there's so many things, the noise, the stink, jeepers, all of it, right? So I have crazy notes here. So what else can I say? That's it. Yeah. And I think the sooner you move forward, the sooner you guys move toward progress, the sooner we will have progress, right? You can't just sit there continuing to not take action and say and know that these things are harmful and expect the needle to move. You have to move the needle. Move it like Montclair moved it. And people even tried to sue us, right? They were like, no, you can't do that. And twice they were told, yeah, they can. They can protect themselves. They can protect their children. They can protect their families. They can protect their homes and their entire town. And I hope that you guys have that opportunity really, really soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lawrence Cohen, Lincoln Avenue, West Orange. I moved here from a city and so I would say this is a town in comparison. And there can be downtowns in a town, but this is a town. And in terms of the population, 46,000. Also, I have a hand mower from just like my grandmother had it, 1950s, 40s. And they make it, Fisker company makes it. And I did the lawn mowing and there's no bag to catch the leaves. The leaves get crumpled in little tiny sizes. And it helps as fertilizer. And that's what I do throughout the year. It's good exercise. It makes no noise. I can do it all hours, not bother anybody. So, and it's good for the bugs and everything. I would like to comment on the lady with the greatest speech here, the 82-year-old lady about the house with the water bill and this and that. I hope the town can help her. I mean, the seniors should be supported whatever they can, especially for an 82-year-old lady to write such an eloquent speech like that. It was just very moving. And hopefully her bills, and because the taxes are so high, the property taxes, let's say the management company, they pay property taxes and they're gonna push the higher costs of the property taxes they have to the tenants. It's just a vicious circle. So really one of the key jobs of the council, which is the power of the purse, is to lower lower taxes, cut that budget as quick as you can. Go back to geese. The geese ordinance, or I mean, whatever, I don't know what's happening. If the geese are being protected, I hope there's no more killings of geese, gassing of geese. I went to, walked around Vincent Pond, Lake Vincent, and they, neighbors told me the geese were trapped and killed and gassed a couple of times, and it's just heartbreaking. And there are no more geese, they said, hardly any, just strays coming back and forth. And I imagine the same thing happened in Crystal Lake. Let's stop that and stop the addling of the eggs, which is like forced birth control on wildlife. $3,000 or something fee for that. I think that's going forward this year. Maybe somebody signed a contract. You can just stop that contract. And the company that does these things is such an embarrassing thing that they to gas a goose, and these are the babies with it, the goslings, it could take 15 to 45 minutes for these geese to die. Geese are very enormous lungs per proportion of their body. They could fly way up in the sky where the air is thin, and they can dive deep in the water, and they hold their breath. So they're holding their breath when they're being gassed. It prolongs their torture. That's what West Orange did. Peacock Gladstone just had a big town meeting where they just stopped all of the killing of the geese, and it was publicized on the news all around the region, Philadelphia and New York City. So luckily you guys were off the media spectrum, but this was something terrible that has been done since 2022. Let's see, Crystal Lake, the project says that there are supposed to be lights around the lake for the project, whatever I hope they don't do that. That really, I think, is acidification of that lake. At least if they are going to have a path, maybe they could do it dirt, would be nicer than cement, but don't have lights all around. And I felt very sympathetic to the guy who said, his ballpark lit up like a his like a city airport or something. Stop that. We're paying for the lights too. The power, the PSAG, they put, I think we're paying for those let's stop all this over, light, light pollution. I mean, I've noticed it even where I live, on an adjacent street. There was a new headlight, a new street lamp put in. There was 4 times the power of the other lamps. And, it was done because, a few people called up and said they're worried about crime. But I don't know, there's so much light in this town. And I think thanks to the great police department, the crime is very low here. And I don't think all of that is so necessary. And I do come from a city. I must say the crime is quite low here compared to city. And they've done a great job, the police. Let's see, what else are we, this little agenda? I don't know, I just want to go back to taxes. Please try to cut the budget, lower the taxes. Don't stay in debt as much as you're in. We shouldn't be in the bond market. It costs so much for the bond market. When you get what do you call it? The grant, don't do a match to the grant, because that means you're paying money out of your own pocket. Just go to the grant and stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Good evening. My name is Imelda Urias, and I'm living 133 Watson Avenue.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name and address? Can you repeat?
Imelda Urias.
And your address?
133 Watson Avenue. I am here, we own a landscaping company, which is our landscaping. And I feel so sad about this law that you wanna pass about electric machines, because we are raising 3 daughters, and it's our it's our business. So now the spring and fall cleanup, in these seasons, for my husband, I have seen that he works really hard, and electric machines, it won't help so much because it doesn't last, for work, those heavy leaves, especially in spring and fall. So I would like to ask you, if you can balance, maybe only in spring and fall, you can leave it, the gas machines, because, when I go to help him, I see how hard he works. And I say, now that you wanted to pass this electric machine, that means that we have to spend more money, and we're gonna, we have to let them know the customers that for now, we are not doing, the economy for the town or the people who lives, the area. If we say, okay, we're gonna use machines, electric machines, then from now on, we had to raise the monthly service, which is, depending the small or big house. So that will cost more money for the customers. So I want you to keep in mind that if, for example, if you have a landscaper who uses a gas machines, I bet you that some of you will have a landscaper, and they will say we have to raise the monthly service because now we are using electric machines. So that is going to be the cost for changing this law or whatever, this ordinance that you want to pass, that we're going to affect to us, because probably we lost some clients, some clients, because we raised $25 more for monthly, or, depending how big or small is the area. So I bet you if you can balance, okay, it's you balance for the people who explain that for the gas, the other gas, or other the environment, for, take for our size that we own a business, and it's our, I don't know, how could I say,
Livelihood.
uh,
Livelihood.
yeah, thank you. So it's not gonna be easy, that's only I want to say, if you can balance, in spring and fall, they can use, gas machine, because there are heavy machines to blow, a lot of a lot of blows. Luckily, some people, they want to keep the leaves in their property, but not all the clients, they wanted to do that. If someone wanted to, to let them, dump the leaves in their property, but not everybody would like to do that. They like, to have very clean, landscaping area. Thank you very much for hearing us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jessica Stolzberg. I live at 31 Fairfield Street in Montclair. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, was my first night coming into our town council meetings to start a campaign that led to the passage of the law that prohibits the gas-powered leaf blower in Montclair. I had been focused on it in my sort of professional life for about a year, and I've continued to be focused on it both as an advocate in my community and also, I continue to research this issue. I speak to people in communities across the country about this. I'm very aware of the different issues that are coming up, both for the landscapers as well as trying to recognize that this simply is a public health mandate that communities are facing. And it's interesting to go after you spoke and realize that one of the key things to doing this smoothly and successfully is really working to that you pass your law, because this change will not come ahead of the law. It will come because of the law. So in every single community that has already passed this, Washington, D.C., Larchmont, New York, Irvington, New York. We've got Rockport, Massachusetts coming up, Huntington, Long Island coming up, Evanston, Illinois, Portland, Oregon's coming up, Baltimore's coming up, Maplewood's done it, Montclair's done it. This is already happening. And in every single community where this law is in effect, the landscapers have found a new balance. They were able to transition to the use of electric leaf blowers and also perhaps learn some different practices that meant that they could blow less, because sometimes we might want to stop and think that if we stop blowing 200-mile-per-hour winds at our soil, we might all be better off. And that if someone decides that they want a property where they've disappeared all the leaves, which were actually intended to fall and stay, no one planned for a machine to come in and blow them away, that would reduce the need for all of this blowing and removal. And then that counters the cost of, say, backup batteries. And I hope that if this passes here, that, for instance, I would be more than happy to talk to you and your husband and share with you what I know, put you in touch with an all-electric landscaper, help you learn about the new equipment. And also, we need to keep in mind at all times that when you hear about the great expense of replacing the gas leaf blower, what tends to be left out of these conversations is that one commercial gas leaf blower burns 5 to 7 gallons of gas per day in peak leaf season. That is a lot of money. And when they talk about raising their prices, then you want to say, well, what did you do when gas prices soared? Was there a surcharge on your customers? Was that happening? Because there is a return on investment that someone already addressed, that even the leading manufacturers are showing that within a year, you've paid for your new machine, and now you're literally like making money because you're no longer spending money on gas, and that the machines don't require the same kind of maintenance. And when we talk about what about recycling of the batteries, well, it's interesting because the people I know who are using electric leaf blowers, they don't need to recycle them because they're working for years and they're using them. So there's this big cry that they all have to be recycled, and yet what about their extended use? And are the people who are worried about recycling lithium ion batteries, which yes, does have its own issues. But then what about the issues with gas and oil? We know fossil fuels are responsible for our warming planet. Why should we talk about that at the same time? Should we think about whether or not, when you're done with a broken gas leaf blower, how does that machine get recycled? So we can't leave out other sides to these arguments that come up. But it is possible to succeed, because I live in a community where we've succeeded. We've been 16 months without a gas leaf blower. It's gone smoothly. And we really would love to be a resource to you as you move forward with this in any way we can, both the equipment, communication, enforcement, anything that you guys need. We are a resource for you. I know Maplewood is as well. And I guess in my few seconds I have left, because I didn't even read anything that I had prepared for tonight, I just want to read something I read into the room my first night, which was that a quote by Francis Perkins, FDR's Secretary of Labor, said, "A government should aim to give all the people under its jurisdiction the best possible life. I can think of no better way to do this than to pass legislation that protects the health of all who live and work in the community you serve. And that does include the health of your landscapers."
Your time is up.
Thank you very much.
Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Giovini. I'm at 68 Manga Road here in West Orange, New Jersey. I'm a lifelong resident and business owner here in town. I do own a landscape company, and a lot of what we're hearing is quite redundant tonight, obviously. We want to talk about the efficiency or non-efficiency. But what you are hearing is opinions, thoughts, ideas. It's not coming directly from the sources. Okay, we are out there working with the products. And I can tell you firsthand that they are ineffective and inefficient. Do I own them? Yes, I own them. Are they productive? No, they are not productive. We are not homeowners. We're in the business of being productive and trying to be as cost effective for our clients. When we are not productive, we are not cost effective for our clients at all. I work in Montclair. I do work in Maplewood, where yes, we have to use strictly electric blowers. And I am telling you firsthand that the amount of time that we spend is double to triple with additional manpower. My clients do not want the leaves to lay where they are. They want clean properties. They have well-painted homes. They want manicured properties. They don't want to live in filth. They don't want the leaves piled up around the foundation of their homes. They don't want fungus, mold spores, insects, rodents, snakes, which all harbor in the leaves around the foundation of their homes. Now, I'm not a complete naysayer because, as I said, I do own the electric equipment, but I will tell you that I am deathly afraid that one day I will come down to my shop here in West Orange and find it burned to the ground, because we all know the fires that are caused from these batteries. And I have dozens of them charging in my garage. I'm fortunate enough where I can do that. There are many landscapers, unlike myself, that just rent a slip, a parking space. Where are they going to charge their batteries overnight so they can go out and be immediately effective the next day? They can't. Are they going to run a generator all evening? I don't think so. And we talk about the dust particles and they're infiltrating into the house. Have you ever seen someone mulch a lawn over and over and over again on a dry day? The dust is incredible. If you're not wearing a respirator, you're in trouble. So let's think about all the things that are being said. Because electric blowers, guess what? They produce dust. They do produce noise. Maybe not as much noise, but they do produce noise and they do produce dust. And they are heavy. So you're not saving anyone's health because they still are inhaling dust and they have this heavy equipment on their back. There are other options, which are push blowers, which someone had mentioned earlier today, which are just wheels and a fan and a simple lawnmower, which is a simple motor, which is the same that is on your basic lawnmower. It's not a 2-stroke, it's a 4-stroke. So think about all these as they impact everyone. Because my clients, especially the elderly, will not be able to afford this additional tax. The times that are set forth, I believe, are April 15th. Weather permitting, we're going to be out there the first week of March 1st, if possible. So therefore, we're not going to be effective and efficient come the 1st of March when we try to go to work. So the dates need to be relooked at and think about maybe the 1st of March to the end of May. I'm not going to keep going on because a lot of it is what everyone else has said, and I'll save everyone some time. But think about those situations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vince Militello, 182 East McClellan, Livingston, New Jersey. I was born and raised pretty much in West Orange. Went through the whole school system up until high school. So I know the town very well. I've been in front of most of you. There's a lot of new faces. Welcome to new faces. Congratulations. I don't want to say the same things over and over again. We know that these pieces of new battery powered equipment are not efficient like gas powered blowers. Guys like me that have been in business, my dad started this business in the early 60s. We know what needs to be done. We're stewards of the environment. We're not trying to kill people. My dad's going to be 88 years old this year. He's probably touched more things that you shouldn't touch than most of us will ever see in a lifetime. We're not killing anybody. The fumes are not permeating through walls. The equipment has changed through the years. They're all just about California approved emissions now. I just actually had an opportunity to meet with one of the vendors in Livingston. He said there's some new still equipment coming out, and it's pretty good. It's pretty quiet, but it lasts 17 minutes on a charge. 17 minutes. And that's 2 batteries per piece of equipment. You have 4 guys on a crew and they're working. How many batteries do you need? You can't possibly charge them. The charging system for this still power equipment charges 4 batteries at a time. In sequence, 1 at a time, it works its way around. You'll have guys at the truck all day long trying to charge their batteries. It's just impractical. And the stories about, you know, mulching, you can't mulch every leaf in the township. It's impossible. Like the previous speaker said, you would kill yourself trying to ingest that dust from the dry leaves. It's impractical. You guys really got to think this out. I think that when this stuff really, you know, becomes efficient, we're all going to do it. None of us want to pay $3, $4 a gallon for gasoline. We've all changed. All of our power equipment, just about, our lawnmowers are all EFI, which they're fuel injected. They're not carbureted anymore. We're all doing what we can to save on fuel and fumes. They have the same type of emissions that cars have now. You guys got to give it some time. We're not trying to kill the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Natello.
Claire Silvestri, 20 Grandview Avenue. I've spoken about leaf blowers a number of times, so I'm not going to reiterate my support for this ordinance. What I really want to talk about just for a minute or so was something of the Mr. Fagan in his presentation, the Blue Envelope Initiative. As a parent of an autistic driver who has had a couple of scrapes with the law, fender benders and moving violation, and I can attest that my son had a heck of a lot of anxiety when dealing with the police officers. So I think this is a fabulous idea. I haven't heard about it before. I'm curious to see that Union County, all of the communities in Union County are doing it. I just like to ask the administration to promote this as much as possible. And then I thought maybe we could ask Mr. Puglisi to use whatever clout he has to get other towns besides Belleville and West Orange in Essex County to be looking into doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have flyers here if anybody else would like one.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Rashes, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Robert Rashkus, 35 Oak Crest Road. Yes, I watched the county commissioners meeting last Wednesday, and I noticed they had a resolution for a new animal barnyard renovation exhibit at the Turtle Bag Zoo. But they didn't say whether or not the exhibit is planned to be in the current footprint of the zoo. And it was approved by the Essex County Recreation and Open Space Advisory Board, but they don't invite the public to their meetings. So the public can't ask at those meetings whether or not it's going to be in the confines of the zoo. So I'd like to know about that. And also, I happen to walk, now I talk about the landscapers. I walked down last fall to past the JCC when the landscape company was working, and there were multiple employees all using equipment. There was dust around the air, noise. Nobody even noticed me. So I had to push the button at the traffic light and cross the street and walk to the other side of the street of Northfield Avenue because it was too dangerous with the health and safety hazard to continue to walk down the street. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raskus. Okay, who's going to be the last one? Saving the best for last? Anyone? Going once, twice, three times? There you go. What? You've already spoken once. We don't allow, we'd be here all night. Thank you, though. So thank you, everyone. And I think, I hope, given everyone's interest in why they came to speak, that no one or that everyone recognizes what a wonderful community we have here. Diverse, eloquent, passionate, logical, interested in all kinds of ways to make West Orange a better place to live. Even the people who live outside of West Orange come here to try to make it a better place. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I hope what you could take away from here tonight reflects that in some way. I usually wait till last to respond to public comment. I'd like to just take the council president prerogative and just say something very quickly, and then I'll pass it on to everybody. I want Chief Abbott to be able to speak to some of the questions that have to do with the police and safety. But before that, I want you to know that we do hear you. And when I say we, I'm meaning the 5 council people up here. We do hear you. And we do suffer with you if you're suffering. And we will try to do everything we can to change that in our community and in our country. But let me just read you what we said at the January 6th council meeting. I just want to make sure everybody knows this. Speaking as council president for the new 2025 council, I believe council members understand and fully support the law and customs of our country, our society, and the community that prohibit and abhor all forms of discrimination, period. No caveats, no conditions, in all cases and for everyone. I believe we all agree that we must treat each other as equals with love, respect, and justice, just as we want to be treated and just as our Constitution and laws provide. As human beings, we are all different and will differ. You've seen it up here just tonight. As we seek solutions to these disagreements, we should always keep our principles of equality, respect, tolerance, and justice foremost in our words and actions, both for ourselves and for those with whom we disagree. I believe the people of West Orange should be certain and confident that their council members do not and will not tolerate discrimination of any kind. that we should oppose discrimination wherever it raises its ugly head, and that we always will. And speaking for myself, I believe these types of resolutions are unnecessary once we have firmly established and proclaimed our opposition to discrimination of every and any kind. Therefore, I believe it is best for our community to focus on the issues, challenges, and future that we as a governing body can address through solutions that have a significant impact on making West Orange an even better place to live, visit, and do business. That is our goal and focus going forward, and I ask that you join us in this effort. And before I turn it over to Chief Abbott, I just want to follow up with saying I am sorry that anybody, doesn't matter what identity group they are, suffers from, takes suffering from what other people say to them. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we have a First Amendment right in this country to say just about what we want, and it has to be balanced with what we all share in our values of tolerance. And if somebody says something to you that you feel constitutes a potential break in the law does not allow free speech that threatens other people. If you feel threatened by something that somebody says to you, gather the evidence and report it to the police and get the evidence as safely as you can. On social media, that stuff that was being said is just beyond the pale, and beyond the pale of, I believe, 97, 98, 99% of the people in West Orange. It is a great town to live in. That's why I moved here, and it is just a wonderful place to live. There are so many people from all over the world with different perspectives and interesting lives, and I just really love it. So I hate it when I hear this stuff happening. But if you see something on social media, you can click a few buttons and make sure that Facebook or Instagram knows what's going on, and those people will eventually be banned. So take those steps where you can really make a difference. That would be my advice. Anyway, I just want to, I'm finished pontificating, and I really do appreciate everybody who came tonight. But there were a few questions that were being raised about safety early in the public comment. I just wanted to get Chief Abbott to just respond to them to make sure we answered your questions. Dr. Harvest talked about the parking down around Seton Hall prep. Is there anything that that you guys are doing or can do to try to address that?
So that's always been a challenge, and we're constantly on top of it, working on it. The school does work with us to try to make the situation better. As you're probably aware, we're kind of in the final stages, wrapping up the whole traffic and parking survey, the township wide. So there's going to be some, suggestions down in that area, just like there will be throughout the township, that should help. On a brighter note, the sea lions have been relocated to the lemur exhibit, same footprint, so we're all safe there. As far as the crosswalk issues with the kids, that's always a challenge as well. We do enforcement, different spots. We try to be around the schools at the opening and closing times for the schools. We're right in the midst of combining our pedestrian safety board, Division 0, and what's the other one, Councilwoman? There's three different boards I think we're putting together under the you offered.
Vision 0.
It was Vision 0, the pedestrian safety advisory board.
Complete streets.
What was Complete Streets? That was the other one. Thank you. To try to kind of combine them, and so we have like 3 different directions going off. Councilwoman's offered to be a liaison and work with Nishawayne Group, who's going to give us a model ordinance. It'll go to legal, be reviewed, it'll come back, and you guys will have appointments and so on. There was one more.
Lights at the park.
The lights at the park are public service. They're not the park. I emailed Bill Kehoe real quickly why that came up. I did send it to Gary Williams, our government rep. Gary's going to probably get back to me tomorrow. I'm sure I'll take care of it. Billy did say they're very bright. So that, he's aware of that too. He said they're, I guess some of the neighbors up there had safety concerns and issues. They asked for lighting, but it's a little too much. Ironically, while we were discussing that, one just came in on Oxford Terrace, same thing. It's one light that stands out that's just too bright. So actually, Pete and I both simultaneously sent that to Gary as well. So he'll have plenty to do with West Orange tomorrow.
Double teaming them.
Yep.
Good.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief. Just want to start with response now. We'll start with Councilwoman Castellino.
Thank you, Council President. So let me take care of a few things and I'm going to move to the tougher subtopics we had tonight. Mr. Fagan, thank you for your report as usual and the Blue Envelope Program. If we can make sure, because I'm the liaison to Board of Education, it's important that we touch base with the school district for our seniors there that are 17 and we have a large autistic population at the high school.
Press release went out today and I'll send you.
Yeah,
a
we need
copy
to
of
get this information to them and I'll follow up with. Excuse me, Councilwoman, grow up. Not to date myself, but just seeing like all the accomplishments of our diverse, beautiful, diverse community and to have so much angst still. So if there's something that we could do, I'm always going to push to do it. Unfortunately, I feel sometimes there's been outside agitators, and I appreciate, and don't take this the wrong way, the people that come from out of town for support, because I know you feel the need for that. But there's been times, through this past 2 years that I felt that there was outside influences that sometimes didn't need to be there. So with all that said and done, I'm not, I'm always still willing to heal the hurt. One of the reasons why I ran again, I could not walk away from this town with all the pain that's been here for the past couple years, because we are so better than that. And with that, I'm sure we could all move forward. I am excited for the 27th for the celebration there. We've made efforts to move Restaurant Week to make sure it didn't conflict with everyone's holidays, which was not easy, by the way, but we did manage to find a week that would work. And that's who we are. We are West Orange. We're going to continue to be West Orange. I know everyone up here, all were like, none of us, we all may differ, and we may be different, having a debating conversations a few minutes when I start talking about leaf blowers, but But whatever our differences, we all love our community. We love our residents. And I know we could work through to not have any more hurt feelings for everyone. And that's what I pledge to you and to everyone in the township. Highlight tonight, Mrs. Robertson. I'm sorry you came in because you had an issue, but God bless you, 83 years old. You do not look it. And thank you so much for your very kind words. I'm sure the chief appreciated that. I know they go above and beyond, and we want to make sure, situations arise that I sit here and shake my head throughout the evening, hearing, different comments tonight. But thank you for sharing, and I'm sure, they're going to continue to work with you, because it just amazes me what goes on, especially, things have been made so expensive in our community. We're just reenacting Mr. Smeralda with the rent leveling board to help our residents, and it's just amazing. It's so hard to live, and especially things have become so expensive. Next, I would like to thank all the speakers that came out in regards. I just want to make sure I didn't miss the other items that folks may have talked about. I think everything else was. Mr. Panulo, thank you for, he's not here anymore. Thank him for coming down. And Chief, I have a question about that with the zoning, because we did have that question a couple months ago, just in regards to Mr. Panulo's comments with the adoption of the ordinance on July 3rd, 2024 for the zoning ordinance in regards to West Essex Highlands. Oh, wait, I just want to make one more comment to Dr. Harvest and her husband. It's been a long time since I've seen you in the audience. And welcome, and I'm glad you came forward. And as just to back up the chief, working with dynamic traffic on creating more parking for that area. So not that it needs to go to all the students. I know he's had some really tough conversations with the headmaster in regards to, getting the students to park. And they are trying to get their students to park up at the field, and they have, the shuttle to bring them back and forth. But it's been a challenge over there. I know walking this past summer, talking to residents and folks that have been emailing us for a while. So we're not forgetting about you. It's something that hopefully we'll be able to create more parking spots if it all works out. So stay tuned. But great seeing you folks tonight. Okay, so with the ordinance, proposed draft ordinance for tonight with the leaf blowers, there was a few things that I had issue with, and I'm gonna take my time because we have time this evening, so we're not talking at 3 o'clock in the morning at the next meeting, because we're gonna have a lot of items at the next meeting that we didn't get through tonight. We definitely have to listen to a lot of comments this evening, and on both sides of the argument. We have to extend the dates because it's just too short of a time frame. I've had conversations with our personnel, and even for residents. I mean, I know residents in general, a lot of people got hit with the reval, and their taxes have increasing to have to go out and buy. And yes, people do use these blowers during the summer months as well to clear their property. Again, you're telling them they have to go out and buy a new machine this year, not next year, this year, according to the way this is written. The hours of operation we talked to last year, we need to have a little discussion. I'm okay with the hours, but I don't think it matched up with our noise ordinance. So we need to make sure if anybody's taking notes on this. Are you guys, anyone listening to me? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, you know, the noise, what we talked about last time, what were conflicts was the noise ordinance. So to make sure that the noise ordinance, doesn't matter to me what the time, this has 8 to 5 on the weekends, 10 to, weekdays and 10 to 5. It was later. There's a lot of folks that can't afford landscapers and maintain their own properties. And, you know, they may work a little later. So we just have to look at that. I hope anyway. I know if you have the votes, you have the votes, but it would be mindful to look into that. Enforcement. I don't see how this enforcement situation is going to work. A timestamp photo showing the violation. So now we're going to have folks taking pictures of landscapers who've now become the enemy of the state. And with AI, it's just not feasible. It's not feasible. It may be working elsewhere, but I'm going to tell you, I think Mr. Leonardis made a remark on how this isn't working in other towns. I live on the border of Montclair. I travel through Montclair all the time. I've seen them use gas leaf blowers in Montclair. So you are going to have people that cheat, and you know, the landscapers have made a lot of great points this evening. The residents have as well. And I appreciate folks that are noise sensitive, but I also have allergies with the leaves outside. And when the wet leaves are out on my property, I'm sick. I'm sick all fall when the wet leaves are there. So there are folks that have allergy issues. Dogs collect ticks, bring them in the house. So there's so many, you know, we had a rodent issue this past year, and, you know, part of the cleanup is with leaves laying around by the garbage. And does this ordinance, I did not see an exemption. We had an exemption for golf courses. So now the golf courses in the township,
No,
it's not, okay.
over 15.
Okay, so the golf courses don't have to comply with this.
They
They
do
do.
have to comply, but they can use turbine blowers. Which is what they use anyway, too big to use. They don't use regular, they're not part of it anyway.
Okay.
They can't use backpacks, though, right?
They
Commonly
cannot
referred
use
to-
gas-powered blowers, they don't use them anyway.
I differ with that, but
Yeah.
I know Rock Spring uses them.
If I could, let's just let Councilwoman.
Sure.
please.
No, I just want to make sure everything is tightened up because it's going to be expense to the township. We still don't have a capital budget, so that's a whole nother conversation, you know, that was hoping that every meeting, or when are we getting a capital budget? The capital budget has your roads repairs. I know a lot of folks have called me about their streets that have been waiting, and, you know, we haven't even approved our capital budget yet. Hope that's on for the next council meeting. So obviously lawn care registry. I don't understand why this is so necessary. We have tree companies with the tree ordinance, and I supported that because there's not a lot of tree companies, but there's a lot of landscape companies, a lot of folks. So does this mean anyone that is in a small business now have to be registered with the township? And who's manning all this? Again, I'd like to hear from administration. How are they going to enforce? If we can't pass, we could pass ordinances because if there's votes there, that's obvious. But if we can't properly enforce them and it becomes burdensome on the staff, that's an issue for me, and it always is. So I don't think this is balanced enough.
Excuse me, Councilwoman.
Yeah.
I don't want to impose upon you, but we're trying to respond to public comment as opposed to debate a ordinance that we're not going to be able to get to tonight. So
But here's the
just in
thing,
the interest-
Councilman and Council President, and I appreciate that. The reason why I'm going off all of my notes is because we aren't going to be able to talk about it this evening. That was going to be on first reading. And I'm taking advantage of that fact because at the end of the day, when we have these items that really affect our residents and folks don't know about it, and then they're upset that something passed and they didn't know about it. So I just wanted to, note these certain issues to hopefully that maybe this gives an opportunity to amend some of this if you are really going to pass it, because it sounds like you are. And I hope you take my recommendations into consideration. So the next meeting, because first violation's a written warning, second is a $200 fine to both homeowner and landscaping company, and third violation is a $500 fine issued to both homeowner and landscaping company. And when I see folks such as Amanda out in the audience, just trying to get by day, my heart bleeds for them. So.
Councilwoman,
I
you will be able to
appreciate it.
talk about all of this at the first readings.
Okay.
Please move on.
No, I appreciate that. And, I am done. Thank you, folks, for everybody coming out tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Council President. So I have a lot to say. Usually I'm the briefest on the council these last 2 years, but tonight I won't be. So first off, thank you again to all of you who are here in person and on Zoom. So to the folks that spoke about their quality of life being impacted, and I'm going to save the big topics for later, right? The resolution, the Islamophobic, anti-Muslim resolution, and the ban on gas leaf blowers stand. So I'm speaking now to the folks whose quality of life have been impacted. I'm sorry. So Ms. Robertson, if you can please email me your phone number so I can call you. I have a couple things I want to be able to talk to you, try and help and guide you. And I'm hoping that the administration can respond. Maybe with an investigation, I don't know what the proper protocol is, send inspectors, maybe from the health department or the zoning department to assist, because that doesn't sound legal what they're doing to you at all. As someone who's been in real estate, who works in government, there's a lot of red flags there and a lot of red tape. So I'm hoping that the administration will be able to address these concerns, because as you know, the different forms of government, you have the legislative branch and then you have the executive branch, which really deals with a lot of these concerns. And to Dr. Harvest, you brought up a wonderful suggestion about the kids parking at the sports complex for Seton Hall and then them being shuttled. So hopefully the administration can reach out and thank you so much, Chief. And then I didn't catch the gentleman's name who lives on Dogwood, but Chief already addressed it, that the administration had sent their concern to PSC&G because it's not a township park or light. It's the PSC&G that mans the lights. So I know Gary Williams, and working at the county, he's a county PSC&G rep, and he will address it and look into it. So I will also work with him too. I want to thank Mr. Panulo and We Care for their continued advocacy to putting West Orange residents first and our environment first. So I have to be honest, I'm disappointed to hear that the DEP approved permits. I wish We Care all the best in appealing this, and happy to hear that they have support from several very large environmental groups. So now the ban on gas leaf blowers. I first off want to thank everyone who's been involved in advocating for the ban on gas leaf blowers. I want to recognize the efforts of the previous council, including former Councilman Rutherford, Councilman Scarpa, myself, as well as the administration, Mr. Jangaro, our Green West Orange members, Maplewood Mayor Nancy Adams, who worked really hard to pass it. The history there is we passed it. The mayor vetoed it, despite her public support for a ban on gas leaf blowers during certain months of the year. She never took the opportunity to amend the ordinance and place it back on the agenda for the council to vote on. So that's what we're doing. Now, we have a supermajority, so it can't be vetoed. If she does veto it, we can overrule it. So that's the history. I remain committed to supporting this ban because I believe but I do agree with Councilman Castellino that there are revisions that have to be made, and we will discuss it in the next meeting when we are voting on it on first hearing. There are differences to this one and the one that we approved. I believe in compromises. I spoke to all the landscapers last time who came here, and I said, I believe in compromise, and we tried to compromise as best as we could. So Mr. Leonardis, I don't know if you're here anymore. Okay, there you are. I do plan on calling you. So thank you for that. Okay. I'm going to call you. Thank you so much for your phone number. Okay.
Maybe I'll go with you.
Thank you. So, I also want to express my gratitude to the landscapers and others who have voiced their concerns and advocated for your perspectives, right? Because we are all in this together, right? Your input is valued, all of you. And I understand the challenges that are present, right? And I want to thank you for your continued engagement, being part of the conversation as we work toward a solution that benefits our community as a whole. And again, want to thank everyone, members of the public, both local, from different municipalities and states who advocate for this, right? Next, regarding the anti-Semitism and not anti-Semitism, excuse me, regarding the anti-Islamophobia and anti-Muslim resolution. So I want to be very clear that as a council member, I stand, and just as a human being, right? A decent human being, I stand firm against hate speech and discrimination in any form. So when I hear that there has been anti-Muslim, anti-Palestine hate speech, hate rhetoric shared on social media in our community, it is extremely disturbing. And it's inappropriate. It is, I believe, a crime, hate crime. And I'm hoping that the police chief will investigate this because you've brought it to us publicly. You were reading proof, a screenshot, it seems like, that you've printed. And it's disgusting. And I hope they're caught, and I hope that they are punished by the law to the fullest extent, because that's the problem with this world. It's the hate in this world. And I believe love trumps hate, period. So now, when the council voted on the anti-Semitism resolution, I have to commend my colleague for speaking up and saying what she said tonight. When the last council voted on this anti-Semitism resolution, I was the only one to abstain. And I said, obviously, no one is going to vote no to an anti-Semitism resolution. But I have been transparent, and I have gotten nasty emails from people telling me that I am anti-Semitic for doing so. But I'm sorry, I don't represent one sector in this town. I represent 50,000 residents, a diverse melting pot of beautiful people in this town that we all represent equally. And I'm so sorry for what the people in the Muslim community, in the Arab and Palestinian community have felt in terms of the response from this town. Myself and Councilman Rutherford were the only council members to attend the Palestinian event, solidarity event. Okay? Now, as I mentioned, our community is made up of diverse groups, and I believe we should approach discrimination in a way that supports all marginalized communities. And as Councilwoman Castellino stated, the last council voted for the anti-Semitism resolution. I believe they set a precedent by doing so. I understand where Council President Kukoviak is coming from because he was on the council then. So I understand and respect where he's coming from as well. But I believe that we need a more inclusive approach. If the council moves forward with the anti-Islamophobia resolution, and I hope that they do, I will have to abstain because I have been transparent last time when we voted on the anti-Semitism resolution, and I abstained then. I believe we need one, an all-encompassing one, right? Especially now more than ever in this political climate, where people feel emboldened and entitled to discriminate openly. It is crucial that we take a stand. And in West Orange, hate has no home here. We always say that. And my heart really does go out to everyone who's been discriminated against. I see you and I stand with you. I mean, look at me. Got my own life. I have been discriminated against. I'm visibly African. I've got curly, thick hair, you know, like, and this is, you know, like, this is why I'm committed to ensuring that all forms of hate are addressed equally. And I am raising an African boy in this country who might be a cute boy now, but we've seen as a threatening Black man when he's an adult, or even a teenager, or when he starts driving. And those are my concerns as a mother living in a diverse community. So with that being said, I will continue to advocate for a resolution that commends all forms of hate and discrimination. And I'm hoping that if the council agrees to voting on this anti-Islamophobic, anti-Muslim resolution, that we can also vote on a general one here, because there's other groups in town that feel discriminated against. And we must address all forms of hate, period. So with that, my passion, I conclude my response to public comments. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rudin, please.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that obviously hate has no home in West Orange. And I would support a general hate has no home resolution in West Orange because nobody should feel threatened or unsafe in their own home. I also strongly recommend that since you are coming to the council with quotes of bias, verbal bias, that those be made criminal, that you make criminal reports and that they be made to the local, state, and federal authorities. If you have proof of somebody who has been physically or verbally assaulted or bullied, and you have proof that there is a bias crime going on, please, I urge you to take that documentation to the authorities. And that should be done for anybody who feels intimidated, bullied, or threatened in any area. These type of incidents should be reported, and there should be an investigation into who is doing this. Anybody who has a report of bias incident has a right to law enforcement. And one or two people getting arrested for bias will teach a lesson to everybody in the entire township. So that's my comment in terms of what you're reporting. Please make those reports public, bring them to the police, and let us all know exactly who is behind the hate that you are speaking of. I know that we.
Please, we can't have dialogue during the
Okay.
council meeting.
So
Sorry.
just because you have said that, we were emailed, all of the names were blacked out. And some of the names that were on there are people who who may or may not still be alive. So I think that if you have real names of people who are perpetrating crimes of bias and hate, please, I urge you to bring them to the chief. He is always responsive towards any sort of intimidation or bias crimes. As far as the leaf blowers, Chaim Potok said that all change is hard, especially that which you make yourself. As a council, I feel that we have the opportunity to lead by example and to prioritize what has really become a public health crisis. The transition to electric-only leaf blowers is one such decision. It's a decision that puts the health of our residents first and ensures them cleaner air, quieter streets, and a healthier environment for generations to come. It's no surprise I'm in strong support of transitioning to an electric-only leaf blowers. And frankly, to the comments made by my colleague, Councilwoman Castellino, we would have been well along in this transition had the mayor not vetoed this a year ago. So we would have had time. We had initially talked about a 2-year transition. Now it's squeezed, but we also have been living through an extreme climate emergency. We have all seen that this year. And as the storms get greater, as the droughts get greater, it is incumbent upon us as leaders to take action. You know, for 20 years, I carried my own bags to the grocery store and people would say, great, you're doing this. And I would say, yeah, well, you could do it too. And they said, I'm not going to do it until it's required. Let's make it a requirement, not just for one person or for the next person, but so that our entire community can breathe fresher air and go into their homes and feel peace. Oftentimes I wake up in the morning, not by the alarm or not because I'm done sleeping, but because the blowers are outside my window and my windows are rattling. We deserve the right to have peace in our own homes and in our communities. And our children deserve the fresh air, and they deserve not to be contaminated by oil, which is dropping into our ground and poisoning our plants and poisoning our air and affecting our animals who are out there then playing in this oil-drenched soil. So, we've heard from speakers tonight. Thank you for coming from other communities to support us and tell us that it won't be a disaster if we make the transition. Others have done this, others have survived, and we're going to survive too. So that's my comment on the transition. Mrs. Robinson, I feel that this is something that really should go to the housing board, isn't it? I'm not.
The rent leveling board is.
The rent leveling board. Is that something that?
It's not really about rent. so.
It's not, okay. So, I share my councilwoman's, shock of what is happening to you. And I hope that we can help address what's going on there and, take care of the residents like you. I find it hard to believe that you're the first resident to ever have complained. So, I'm a little bit shocked to hear that, but we're gonna look into this and try and help you get some answers about why this is happening and why you're being penalized in this way. I just wanted to address our county executive, our county representative, Mr. Puglisi. Mr. Raskus has, I know, written month after month after month for several years that the open space and recreation commission for the county does not publicize its agendas, nor can the public weigh in on what is going on in the county. So I would just like to request, since he brought this up as comment tonight, that the agendas for the open space and recreation be made public and that there be a way for the public to participate, because it is at these very important meetings that lots and lots of money is discussed. And there are plans for the zoo that come before this board, and then they go straight to the county commission. And there's no input really, except at the county commission when you're hearing about it for the first time, that there's going to be a plan for expansion or development, spending open space money, which is in a sense our money too, because we all participate in giving to county open space. So I'd like to make a request that those agendas be public in advance, and that if possible, that the public be able to participate in those meetings as they used to prior to COVID. Lots of times you're hearing the popping on this, so I want to address Dr. Hotson's remark that it would be really great if we could change the sound system for those in the audience. I know that as somebody who used to sit in the audience a lot, it's hard to hear. And I think we should look into what's going on with our sound system and what can we do, because in the summer, the vents are going on, the air conditioning, and the people in the audience can't. And so I think most of the responsibility is on your shoulders. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to do with the sound system, and I will gladly step aside as Zoom operator and let the next person come in and
No,
take
you
care of
do
it,
a
because I have
fantastic job.
nothing to do with it.
No, I'm kidding you. We have to look into that as a council to see what we can do to make the sound system better. And I think that that just about closes my comments. I'm sorry if I missed anybody, but I think that some of my other colleagues have eloquently addressed some of those other issues.
Councilwoman Scarpa, please.
Yeah, I want to say that all of my colleagues have very eloquently addressed all of these issues.
Please speak into the mic.
And I am
Thank you.
going to keep my comments rather brief tonight. Just to Mrs. Robinson, I'm so sorry that a 85-year-old woman has been treated so disrespectfully.
83.
83, sorry.
Let the record reflect, 83,
83.
a very young looking 83.
And I want you to stay in touch with us and keep us abreast of the situation. And same for Dr. Hurst with the Seton Hall students. We've heard this over and over again, and I know the chief does work with them to try to get those kids to park up where they're supposed to and take that bus down. And I would like to see that happen. I think it's more fair to our residents. And it provides the Seton Hall students with an opportunity to drive to school. For all of our friends from the Muslim community who have come down, I want you to know we hear you. I hear you. Abraham, what you described to me was so important on your block because everybody knows I grew up in West Orange. I went through our schools. I lived in Manhattan and I came back and raised my son here because I love this community, the diversity and the beauty of it. And what happens on your street is the West Orange that I know. It is unfortunate, and I do think social media has a lot to do with it, that hate has come from inside and outside of our community. We're always going to have those few people who are going to be hateful, and they seem to choose social media to do it because they don't have the courage to say the vile things that they say to someone's face. So I have always encouraged my son, and I am a professional in our school system. I try to steer away from social media. I peruse it once in a while to see what people are saying, but I try to ignore a lot of the vile nonsense that goes on. And I want to encourage all of our residents to limit their tolerance and what they listen to on social media and focus on loving their neighbors, just like everyone does in your community. And I want you to understand, I agree with my colleagues, both Councilwoman Geber Michael, who said that everyone who feels marginalized needs to be heard, understood, and we need to put something together for them. And what both Council President and Councilwoman Rudin said about reporting to the police is so important because I passed that anti-Semitism resolution with many of my friends in the community because of a decade of hate and bomb scares and targeting of synagogues that have gone on here since I was younger. And they, believe it or not, it didn't even have anything to do with what's happening in the Middle East now. And they had asked me actually to do that, to start writing that with them way before October. So there are so many police reports of those instances. And that is why I was compelled to put that together with those who had asked me. And I really believe that you need to, wherever you see the ugly head, you need to report it to the police. You need to take those snapshots of it, and it has to be documented. Because when I asked the police chief, Abbott, how many reports do we have of, anti-Muslim behavior? There really were I think he had one. And we have to report it. And I think that is going to be the beginning of us being able to embrace it in a meaningful way and to address it. And I think as we look to address it, we need to do that in something that encompasses and supports all of our marginalized communities. So I want you to know that we are here to try to solve this problem with you. And Mrs. Riley, who came and spoke. Oh, she's here. Great. Thank you for your analysis. We've met before. Thank you for your analysis of the destruction, for talking to us a little bit about the hurricanes. As you know, or may not know, this is a very, very important topic for me. I am currently working very hard on the stormwater ordinance. I worked for 8 months with a resident of ours who had a neighbor who put a stone wall, did some work on a stone wall or fence that flooded his basement every single time it rained. I can't tell you how many residents are touched in a very negative way and are impacted on flooding. And getting this stormwater ordinance right, not only for our residents where minor development needs to be put in, but many don't know that our Main Street, if you look at the flood maps, is a flood zone. And we have development now that's going on our Main Street. We have the matrix development for the movie studio. It is incumbent upon us to make sure that we protect all of our neighbors. And so I was not going to vote for what was on here tonight. I was going to vote no, and I am currently working with experts to try to get it right. So thank you for being so astute and bringing it to our attention. And for all of those who came out for and against the gas-powered blowers, I want the landscapers to know we hear you. I hear you. I will even maybe visit Richard with Councilwoman Geber Michael if you'd like. This is difficult for all of us, but what it comes down to, in my mind, is it's a quality of life issue. And we have to protect our beautiful township in many ways. And so many residents, both those with asthma and breathing disorders and those who work at home, have talked to me about the health impacts. And I believe they outweigh some of the economic arguments. And so I want to thank Ms. Malanga for bringing it all back to the economic argument. And she's made some valid points. And I think we need to look at this as a whole. There are going to be some economical advantages to it. And I know that some of our small landscapers are going to be very impacted. And we really need to do everything we can to help and support them. And I appreciate those who came from out of town to talk about this and offer their support. And I would ask you to maybe meet with some of the people who have come here tonight and to see what you can do to support them, because we all do have an obligation to support one another. But the gas-powered blowers, I think, is something that we really need to move towards, and we need to do it right. I think that's all I'm going to talk about tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Scarpa. This concludes our response to public comment from the floor vote, floor vote earlier in the meeting. We have one item left, which is the bills list. And I know this is an area of expertise for Madam Clerk. So if you want to take it forward, you can, or if you want me to do it.
Well, I mean, if anybody has any questions on the bill. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. If anyone has any questions on the bills.
I do. Mr. Detiniak, if you can just please explain, there's some confusion. I've had some calls reached out about what we're seeing with Lentz, Golden, and Spitzers. I just never seen it in this format where they're being paid about $36,000, but it's in separate payments. I understand what it's for. I spoke to Everett Johnson from Lentz, but if you can explain it for the general public, it had to do with the bonds. Okay.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to listen to the council meeting, please just take it outside if you wouldn't mind, please, so we can hear. Thank you. And thank you for coming. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Richard, please text me, by the way, so we can meet tomorrow. Can you text me so we can meet tomorrow? Can you text me so we can meet tomorrow? Thank you. Okay. So now back to the bills.
We can't be doing that.
Sorry, Council President. Okay, back to the bills. So I understand it, and I understand that when we pass a bond, there are certain payments. It made sense, but I want to hear it from the CFO so he can explain it to the general public for their benefit. Because I've never seen it done this way where it was like 1,000 here, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and it's for all the ordinances where we bonded money for specifically. But it totals about 36,000 and change. So you can just explain that.
So, what you're seeing is the different section 20 accounts that we're charging.
Yeah.
Anytime we do a bond ordinance, we tend to allocate a certain percentage of that total bond ordinance for the closing and issuance costs related to notes and bonds and the financial advisors and all that. The format that you're seeing for this particular bill list is a result of using Cloud Minidex and sort of coming up with a new solution for the bill list before we completely roll it over into 2025. So it is going to look a little bit different for these next few bill lists until we can sort of return to that format. So you're seeing sort of the detail, the nitty gritty detail that's always there in the background. It's just, this is how we have to display the bill list.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. It's just like Standard & Poor's received a $9,500 payout from whatever bonds we issued, right? And
Right,
same with
'cause-
PKF O'Connor's, they received $5,000. And it's part of their contract, right? The bond
Right.
closes and they get a certain percentage or amount.
So we have a pretty significant debt profile.
Yes, we do. It's one of the worst in Essex County.
And so, we can't just sort of privately place these notes. We have to go out into the open market. And in order to do that and get the best rates possible, we go out to the rating agencies. In this case, we use S&P because we find their ratings to be most favorable for our situation as a township. But you have to pay for it. And when we go out for a rating, we involve our professionals. It's a pretty significant document. I think I sent the council president one of our OSs today. It's hundreds of pages. It's statistical information. There's questions that we get from S&P, and so there's research involved and conference calls and
Thank
so
you,
it's
Mr. Dutaniak. I understand.
Okay,
I'm
no
gonna
worries.
go get more water, some coffee. Thank you. I approve the bill list. That's my vote. Go get water. I'll be back.
Are there any other questions on the bill list?
No.
Madam Clerk,
Just a consent. All in favor?
Consent.
consent.
Any opposed? Okay, the bill list is.
Thank you. And because this has been voted on as the end of the meeting, unless anybody else has anything to say, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Could I approach? You adjourning the meeting tonight?
Yes.
So you're not gonna discuss the pop-up ordinance?
That is correct.
You stayed on.
But you could, can we let him? Yeah.
I love you all, but.
I think you misunderstood the beginning.
Of course.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Mr. Vina, please go ahead.
I'll be very brief.
Just so everyone knows.
Oh, wait
he's-
for,
he's a-
Yeah, I'll wait
for
for him to come back.
Councilwoman to come back.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Vina is a former, longtime attorney for, is it the planning board?
Not zoning board, but I'm here as a private citizen.
A long time ago, but you have significant expertise
I
in the
think-
area.
Yeah, he misunderstood. He didn't realize we weren't going to do this when he.
Basically, okay,
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
from what I heard tonight, the quality of life comments that came, so many of you, give me confidence that you will adopt the ordinance on second reading to ban pop-up parties. I think the ordinance is terrific, except for one thing, which I think you should eliminate at this time. And that's the exemption, which I think is 3D. Any ordinance? Section 3D, where you give an exemption for, well, you know what it is. I just can't, let me read it.
The 501Cs or church.
The exemption for bona fide charitable organizations and political.
Yeah.
What that will do, will make it impossible for the township to enforce the ordinance.
I agree.
There have been comments I heard
that there's a First Amendment right possibly. Well, the First Amendment of our Constitution does not allow these kinds of parties. But some of you may know this from going back to when you're in college. I haven't had a constitutional law course in 50 years, but the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, religion, and the press, and the right to assemble and petition the government. And what that means is the government cannot prevent you from doing that. That does not apply to pop-up parties. And I think
I would agree.
at a former council meeting, right after the election, I made a presentation. I think you all heard it, and I think Council President and Councilwoman Lloyd who were here that evening might have heard me. The problem with the parties is it totally disrupts the neighborhood. They go on for 10 hours. Do you want me to go into it, or just you all know? Okay.
We understand.
Supportive, I think.
Okay.
And I agree with your exemption.
So if you're gonna, I want you to be supportive of it. Don't do the exemption in the future if you think it's necessary, because I wonder whether there's ever been any incident involving a cultural organization or a religious organization. I doubt it. So please pass the adopt the ordinance, eliminate the exemption. If it comes up in the future, then do something with the chief or the police department and work up a permit process that the police can work with you on. Please pass the ordinance without the exemption. Good night, all. Thank you very much for letting me
Thank
speak.
you. And I will.
So I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Someone second to
I'll
adjourn the meeting?
second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting's adjourned.
Good night, West Orange.
Good night. Be careful driving. Right. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Safe travel.
No, it's not. I thought.